Bay Packers have trailed with time running out. And on each occasion, Brett Favre has ridden to the rescue with a last-minute touchdown pass.
Favre takes, pops once, looks the middle, throws. He's got him! Touchdown! Touchdown, Packers! He's got him!
I pride myself on winning and making big plays in crucial situations.
Favre takes, short drop, looking right, pops the right side of the end zone. Touchdown, Packers!
Even teammates like running back Dorsey Levens have been amazed.
About 10 years from now, I'm going to look back at him and go, wow, I can't believe I played with that guy. It's just incredible.
The Packers may struggle for 59 minutes, but to Favre, the final outcome is all that matters.
All you got to do is look at the record and look at the big plays and the production. That's all that counts in this game. I just keep shooting and see what happens.
Now tonight, Mike Holmgren, the man who coached Favre and the Packers to a Super Bowl title, brings his Seattle Seahawks to Lambeau Field in Green Bay to face the Packers. An emotion-charged evening just ahead on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Get underway. The NFL's best are ready to play. Seattle is out to steal Green Bay's thunder when an old friend returns to the frozen tundra. You better be ready. Strap in and hold tight. Lambeau's gonna be leaping tonight. Hit it. Come on and hit it. Come on and get ready. Are you ready for the football? A Monday night party. Yeah, it's a Super Bowl season. 30 years and still rocking. Al and Boomer are set. Proud as sight. All my rowdy friends are here for Monday night. That's right. It is a scene like no other in the National Football League. Lambeau Field in Green Bay and a touch of winter. Temperature in the 40s and a brisk wind. Sold out at Lambeau as the Packers take on the Seattle Seahawks. Al Michaels with Boomer Esiason and Leslie Visser. Every Packer fan circled this date when the calendar came out, when they looked at the schedule, because it meant Mike Holmgren comes home. He coached here for 7 years. He took the Packers to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. That was the scene just a couple of minutes ago when Mike walked out onto the field. So there will be a tremendous amount of emotion in this stadium tonight on a day when the National Football League has seen another type of emotion. Walter Payton died today. The leading ground gainer in the history of the National Football League had contracted a rare liver disease last winter. He had then developed an advanced form of bile duct cancer. Walter Payton leaves a wife, Connie, 2 teenage children, and leaves every football fan with beautiful memories. At halftime, a retrospective of his career, and also we'll talk with his longtime friend and teammate, Mike Singletary. Walter Payton, gone at the age of 45.
This game is also being broadcast in HDTV in cooperation with Panasonic on the digital TV channel of your local ABC station where available. Beats that where available, brought to you by National Car Rental.
Crowd already in a very raucous state as Holmgren comes back. The Seahawks come in. And Boomer, the Seahawks have the longest run of any team in the league without making the playoffs. 1988, the last time they played a postseason game, but they've got the right guy to get them back.
They sure do, Al. You know, for the last 4 years, they've been hovering right around 500. They've spent a lot of money on their roster. Paul Allen decides, look, what do we have to do? We have to go out and get a guy who has great credibility, give him the reins to the entire franchise, that's Mike Holmgren, and allow him to put his stamp on this franchise, much like he did 7 years ago on the Green Bay Packers. Mike Holmgren's got his work cut out for him, especially tonight with Brett Favre.
I don't know if he'll be homesick at any point, but if he gets homesick, I guess it's when he looks across the field and sees number 4 in green.
Oh, he's unbelievable, Al, and we heard in the opening his teammates talking about him. I talked to Frank Winters, the starting center. He says that Brett Favre never ceases to amaze him. When he steps in the huddle, he inspires his teammates. He's relaxed, he's cool, he's calm, and he's fun to watch. And who knows where that ball's going to be going tonight. It's going to be all over the place. Look for some big plays from Brett Favre tonight.
Great matchup tonight, and a lot of respect and admiration and even love as Holmgren and Favre got together tonight. First time they've seen each other in months.
Welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And with the man of the moment right now is Leslie Visser. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Alan Boomer. It was a very warm reception. Most of the signs said thanks for the memories. But, Mike, so much has been written, so much has been said. What was your emotion as you came out here right before kickoff?
Well, it's very special and in some ways rather difficult. Those guys across the field meant a lot to me for 7 years, and now I'm on the other side. And these guys on this side mean a lot to me, so I'm glad we can finally play the football game.
Well, no one knows Brett Favre better than you do. What have you told your defense on how to attack him?
Well, we're just going to try and mix things up and try and pressure him. If he gets a beat on you and can kind of figure out what you're doing on a play-by-play basis, then it's awfully hard. So we're just going to try and mix it up.
Well, everyone's looking forward to it. Thank you, Mike. Al, we're going to get to see the Northwest Coast offense.
Yes, we are.
Very good.
With a northwesterly wind, too, Boomer, because we were down on the field and the wind has picked up, a front moving through, and it is swirling and it is cold.
It really is. And Al, watching the guys kicking the ball, the punters and the field goal kickers, going the way that the Seattle Seahawks are kicking now, and I'm wondering why they're going this way. Peterson right there was having trouble making 30-yard field goals into the wind.
Both special teams coaches talking about the problems that the snappers and the holders will have tonight, as well as the kickers. So Green Bay will get the ball. Peterson's kick is fielded at the 6-yard line by Desmond Howard. And Desmond Howard almost breaks it, brings it out to the 38-yard line. He's had a tough season running back kicks. In fact, he's been on the cusp of losing his job as the kickoff returner and brings this one back to the 37-yard line. 31-yard return. Brett Favre. His type of season, you look at those numbers, not particularly impressive. 10 TDs, 8 picks, but then the 3 come from behind last-minute wins, thanks to him. Levens and Henderson in the backfield. Schrader and Freeman outside. Davis, the tight end. Verba, Wall, Winters, Rivera, and Earl Dotson up front. On the ground, this is Levens, and Dorsey moves nowhere. No gain. It'll be 2nd down and 10. And with Brett Favre making this start tonight, tying Ron Jaworski for most consecutive starts. We look at the Seattle defense. They'll take the ball out of play. Sinclair, Adams, Kennedy, and Daniels. That's a great front four. Smith, Simmons, and Brown are the linebackers. And in the secondary, Springs and Williams, the corners. Joseph and Bellamy are the safeties. Brett Favre tonight making his 116th consecutive start from the 37-yard line. It is Levens again who cuts it back, but there to take him down is the one-time Steeler, Chad Brown, for no gain.
You know, Al, as NFL football fans around the country will recognize, there are a lot of recognizable names and faces on this defense for the Seattle Seahawks. And I was talking about how they are the classic bunch of underachievers, going 8-8 the last couple of years. Mike Holmgren recognizes that and has put a lot of pressure on them in the locker room and on the practice field to live up to their expectations and their paychecks.
They come in 4-2, and they've won 4 of their last 5 after the opening day disaster in Seattle, losing to Detroit. 3rd down and 10. Favre hanging in. Secondary does its job, and Brett tries to stiff-arm Sinclair, and Michael takes him out of bounds at the 41-yard line, and it's 3 and out for Green Bay. Brett Favre has not missed a game since 1992, hasn't missed a start, and that's one of the reasons after the first play they took the ball out of play. He'll break the mark next week. Jaworski and Favre right now at 116. Joe Ferguson, the ex-Bill, at 107. Marino had the 4th longest streak of all time. This is Louis Aguiar to punt. Charlie Rogers leading the league in punt returns, back to accept it. Calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 19-yard line. He waited until the very last moment to hold it in. When you're leading the league in punt returns, you want to bring it back.
You want every chance you can to take the ball back.
John Kitna emerging now, a possible future star, off to a great start this season. 7 TDs, only 2 picks in his 5 starts. And behind him, Ricky Waters and Reggie Brown.
The wideouts are Dawkins and Derek Mays, the ex-Packer. Christian Fourier, the tight end. Jones, Kendall, Gray, Habib, and Williams up front. Jones and Kendall, the strength of that offensive line.
Alan, remember, this is a team that's missing Joey Galloway, the superstar wide receiver who's holding out.
First down, Kitna is going to go deep on first down, and it's incomplete. Kitna intending it for Mike Pritchard, who's covered by Tyrone Williams.
And you're looking for that speed at wide receiver. Well, it's sitting in Columbus, Ohio, where Joey Galloway is, and they have a nice complementary bunch of receivers, but they need the big play threat, especially in this type of offense.
Green Bay defense, Booker, Lyon, Gilbert Brown, and Vonnie Holiday. The linebackers are Koontz Harris and Brian Williams, who's having an exceptional season. Mike McKenzie is a rookie with Tyrone Williams outside. Leroy Butler and Darren Sharper are the safeties. On second down and 10 from the 19-yard line. The fake to Waters, and the pass is caught by Fourier, the tight end, and he's a little bit short of the first down.
You could see by the way Mike Holmgren is calling his plays right now, he wants to get John Kitna involved early. He wants to calm him down a little bit. This is a big game for not only the Seattle Seahawks, but for Kitna personally. I mean, he has been on the roster for 3 years now. He sat behind Warren Moon. He was wondering whether or not he was going to be able to overtake John Freeze. Did that at the end of the year last year. And this is his team now, basically. And Mike Holmgren and the Seattle Seahawks are looking to redo his contract to give him a new extension. And one thing that Mike Holmgren said that he loves about him is, you know, his instincts and his handling of the offense, and his teammates love him.
By half the length of the football, he picks up the first down. 10-yard pickup for Fourier. Kitna really came out of nowhere. He grew up, oddly enough, not far from Seattle, in Tacoma, has spent his entire life outside of 1 year in Washington State. Was barely recruited out of high school, went to Central Washington, undrafted, and here he is with the highest pass rating in the AFC. First and 10 from the 29-yard line. And it's Waters. And when Waters looks across the field and sees Ray Rhodes, the Green Bay coach, he and Ray go all the way back. When Ricky was a 49er, Ray was the defensive coordinator at San Francisco. Then when Ray got the head job at Philadelphia, one of the guys he went out to get right away was Ricky Waters.
And this is one of those guys, those high-priced free agents, bring him in. Everybody thought that was the missing piece when the Seattle Seahawks signed Ricky Waters. That was going to give them that balanced running attack that they hadn't seen since Chris Warren went to the Dallas Cowboys.
Waters is sort of the Favre of running backs these days. 88 consecutive starts. That's the equivalent of 5.5 years. Minimal gain up to the 32-yard line. Tackled there by Vonnie Holiday.
And everybody in football will tell you that Ricky Waters wants the ball. He's not bashful. He'll be on the sideline. He'll be in the coach's face saying, give me the ball. Give me, I want the football. And to be able to say that he has started that many games and he wants the football shows you how tough he really is as a football player.
The one thing, though, the Seattle Seahawks have had a problem with this season is their running game, averaging less than 3 yards per carry this season. So very un-Waters-like numbers to this point. Is it Ricky or is it the offensive line or is it a combination? Third down and 7. Kitna stepping up and stepping out and stopped at the 37, short of the first down by Brian Williams.
Well, if John Kitna wants to live to play another game, he's got to be careful. You have to get down. Even when you think that there is a chance for a first down, you still have to play smart. You see right here, he shows good poise in the pocket, decides to put the ball away, but get down. Don't take those direct hits from those linebackers who are looking to knock you out.
Jeff Beagles to punt, and Desmond Howard to run it back. Into the swirling wind, a wobbly kick, an angle kick. Howard from the 17-yard line. And Howard, almost pinned against the sideline, turns it into a 21-yard run back up to the 38 where he's forced out by Logan. 10:55 left in the opening quarter in Green Bay. 0-0. Or NFL.com and try out ABC's enhanced TV coverage. Well, there was a moment of silence for Walter Payton before the game tonight. And, of course, when you think about the Packers, you think about the Chicago Bears, the great rivalry through the course of history. Payton played so many games against the Bears. In fact, Walter gained more than 2,400
yards against the Green Bay Packers in his illustrious career. They remember him all over the Midwest and indeed all over the country tonight. First down for Green Bay from the 37-yard line. Favre's first pass of the game is caught, and there's a broken tackle. Henderson turns what would have been a 2-yard gain into about a 13-yard pickup. Jay Bellamy couldn't wrap him up, and that's been a problem for teams around the NFL this year. Lack of crisp, good tackling.
But what you see there, Al, is you see the defensive formation right here against the Packers, forcing Brett Favre to throw it out there, and then having them have somebody correctly in the spot, but you have to make the tackle. And that's one of the things that we talked about earlier. Will Mike Holmgren be able to defensively take advantage of what he knows about the offense of the Packers? And certainly right there he did.
First down from the 50-yard line. Favre again throwing down the left sideline, and that's incomplete, intended for Tyrone Davis, the tight end. Couldn't figure out which shoulder to look over as Davis moved toward the sideline.
And with that ball hanging up there in the swirling wind, not an easy catch. And I'm not going to sit here and tell Brett Favre how to throw the football, but when you try to throw a touch pass like this, you can see this ball wobbling. Not an easy catch for Tyrone. Actually started on his outside shoulder, and then he came back to the inside. There you go, to the outside. There you go. And you could see right there how the wind played tricks with that football. You got to drill it in there. He certainly has the arm to fight that wind.
Second down and 10 from the 50. Early in the first quarter with no score in Green Bay. Levis to the short side of the field. Can't turn the corner. Flag is thrown. Our first of the night. Ron Blum is the referee. Boomer, we've been talking to coaches about tackling, which has been pretty poor throughout the league, and a lot of the guys are saying the same thing. We can't afford to get a guy hurt in live tackling drills these days.
During the practice, during the week is what you're talking about. Everybody around the league knows how valuable these players are, and because of the rash of injuries, I think all coaches are kind of nervous about how they're going to practice.
83 offense, 10 yards, repeat second down.
Second tight end Jeff Thomas.
And you're right, Al. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing it out on the football field because tackling is about technique. It's about keeping your head up. You can't tackle what you can't see. And Bellamy, it looks like he tried to wrap up, but Henderson was too strong, but his head was down. Keep your head up when you're tackling so you can tackle so you can see what you're tackling.
Jim Lynn, he's listed as a linebackers coach. In effect, he would be Seattle's defensive coordinator. Mike Holmgren brought Fritz Shurmur with him from Green Bay, and then, of course, Fritz developed cancer and died in August. And Lynn, in effect, is the defensive coordinator, as Bill Schrader is the intended receiver here, and that's incomplete. Sean Springs with the coverage.
Book on Brett Favre early on in games. He's hyper. He throws the ball high. He tends to be a little bit off target. He kind of laughs about it because he knows that's the way his modus operandi is when he gets out on the football field. And there's Sherm Lewis, the offensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, and they all know it. And it's just a matter of him just calming down and just getting into the flow of the football game, and that's when he becomes one of the best.
Third and 20 for the Packers. Favre out of the shotgun from his own 40-yard line. The Seahawks with a 4-man rush. And then Favre guns it over the middle, and it's incomplete. And Antonio Freeman looks for a flag and doesn't find any. Freeman looked for the flag, so did Favre.
And he might have had a reason to look for that flag. And you can take a look at this as Favre guns it down the field, but Freeman, well, you know, I think the officials do a good job right here of not throwing the throwing the flag, because, you know, it's almost like incidental contact. And the ball was thrown behind Freeman. Good non-call as far as I'm concerned.
Sean Springs with the coverage. Green Bay to punt. Louis Aguiar. And a fair catch is called for, and because of the wind, it is dropped. It is dropped at the 21-yard line, and Green Bay has it. Charlie Rogers. We mentioned before that he made a very late call for a fair catch on the first punt. And right here, he made a very late call again, and with that wind whistling and the ball wobbling, he couldn't handle it, and Green Bay gets a huge break.
We saw it on Brett Favre's pass to Tyrone Davis, and right here, the same thing happens where the nose of the football catches the wind and it comes down, and you have to be real careful in this game. And what coaches will tell punt returners and kickoff returners and people like that, make sure that you can catch the football. This is what happens when you have rookies on the field. They get excited, and he was struggling in warm-ups watching him.
Jim Nelson, number 57, recovers, and there's a look at that front blowing through eastern Wisconsin tonight. But it's a dry front, no precipitation expected. First down, Green Bay at the 20. Brett over the middle, and it is picked off by Sean Springs. Sean Springs, who went to the Pro Bowl last year, showing you part of the reason as he got position on Antonio Freeman and picks it off in the end zone to give Seattle the ball back at just about the same spot they would have had it had the fair catch been made.
Not only did Sean Springs make a nice play right here, Antonio Freeman was double covered. Brett Favre should have never thrown that ball, obviously, to that receiver.
Brett Favre now with 9 interceptions this season to go with his 10 touchdown passes. And the Seattle Seahawks with a total of 6 in their last 2 games coming in tonight. And it's dropped. Is it a completion is the question. Apparently it is, and the Seahawks get a big break because it bounces out of bounds. Christian Fourier had it, came down with both feet. It was a live football, and Seattle's ball because it goes out of bounds. Meanwhile, back to the interception. But before we do that,
take a look at this right here. Christian Fourier catches the ball, puts it away. The ball is slippery tonight. It's cold out. There's no moisture in the air. You have to wrap the football up, put it away before you turn around and run. Game of turnovers tonight, Al.
Already 2 fumbles for Seattle. Less than 6 minutes into the game. And Kitna throws, and it's caught up at the 28-yard line.
Plays over, Jim.
As Itulamili, the backup tight end, makes the catch. Now back to the pick by Springs.
Now you talk about Brett Favre and his gunslinger mentality. Here's Tyrone Davis, number 81, the tight end. He goes right down the middle, and he's wide open. And Brett, with his mentality, and early in the game, he's hyped up. He tries to force one in, and right there in the middle is Tyrone Davis, wide open. All he has to do is lower his sights, calm down, and throw it to the tight end. And there is Sean Springs, probably wondering, why would he try to throw it? I had such good coverage.
Seattle with 14 interceptions this season. On the other side of the ball, the Seahawks have only been intercepted twice. Kitna throws and jams it in there. Is it complete? No, it's not. Intended for Derek Mays. Mays, the Green Bay Packer. He was the 3rd wideout here under Holmgren, and then might have been cut by Green Bay as training camp wound down, and Holmgren went out and made a trade for him, got him for a 7th-round pick.
You see Kitna trying to jam this ball in there. It's one-on-one. Mays has got to win. That's a perfect place to throw the ball. Receiver's tough catch, but that's a catch that gives you obviously a first down and gives you a chance to score, and that's what separates the great ones from the good ones.
Desmond Howard, whose longest punt return of the year was that 20-yarder returned in a few minutes ago. This time he'll have no opportunity because that one will float out of bounds off the foot of Jeff Fiegels. And they'll march it off, and the Packers will have the football at their 36. 8:10 left in a scoreless first period. A cold and windy night can sometimes lend itself to bad hands, and already 7 minutes into the game, we've seen Favre's pass dropped by Davis. Another Favre pass, unable to be corralled by Schrader. Charlie Rogers fumbling that would-be punt return, and Christian Fourier making the reception and then fumbling that one out of bounds. And still 8:10 to go in the first period as Favre takes over from the 36 and begins by hitting Freeman in a nice open field tackle by Sean Springs.
One of the most remarkable things about Brett Favre is how he just fights off the bad plays and just comes out to just throw another football. And now it occurred to me today in looking at a lot of the statistics and watching some of the films on the Green Bay Packers offense and some of the interceptions, the bad throws, and the bad decisions, if that isn't akin to the fact that Mike Holmgren is not on the sideline any longer.
Right, isn't Holmgren making the calls, even though he is still working with, in effect, the same offensive coordinator, Sherm Lewis, who now actually does make the play calls.
You know, it's not so much who's calling the plays, who's holding you responsible on the sideline? And I know that it's got to be tough for Ray Rhodes to inherit a 3-time MVP, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, one of the brightest personalities in all of the NFL. When he makes a mistake, what do you say to him? And I asked Ray that. He said, well, Brett, you made a mistake. Don't do it again. Right. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do.
If nothing else, Brett has a great sense of theater, Boomer, because, how would he set up those great fourth quarter comebacks if he didn't screw up early in the game?
You're kind of right. But he has that mentality that every quarterback should possess, and that's the ability to forget the last bad play.
And here's Henderson. He forgot the last bad play there, and Henderson is able to pick up the first down as he gets past the 46-yard line and moves to the 48. First down for Green Bay. And we talked to Mike Holmgren yesterday about any advantage that he might have coming into this game, knowing the Green Bay Packers so well.
I think it helps. I really do. I've spent more time with the defensive guys this week than I normally do because I think I know the offensive players pretty well. I think of their advantages. Probably both teams are looking at that they have an advantage. I think those guys think they know me pretty well. And they don't know our players as well as we know their players. That gives me a little edge, I hope.
Well, Dorsey Levens is a guy Mike knows very well, and Levens that time breaks one for 15 yards before he's tackled by Kerry Joseph.
If there's an underused player for the Green Bay Packers, it's right there, Dorsey Levens. He doesn't carry the ball as much as he probably would like. He likes to touch the ball about 30 times a game. He gets better as the game goes on, but when you have a quarterback like number 4, you tend to want to throw it more than you want to run it.
Green Bay moving to the line swiftly. Here's Henderson again. Makes his second reception on this series to the 32-yard line for a gain of 5. Tackled there by Chad Brown.
And when you look at this Seattle defense and you look at Chad Brown, you look at Willie Williams, Darren Smith, I mean, these are all free agents that were brought in here to solidify this thing. Number 70, Michael Sinclair, right there is Cortez Kennedy. Michael Sinclair, a 3-time Pro Bowler. He led the league last year in sacks with 16.5. So this is a defense that is opportunistic and that can make plays.
Second down and 5. Favre over the middle, almost intercepted again. Tried to hit Davis, and it was Kerry Joseph who came that close to picking off a second Favre pass.
I told you at the beginning the ball's going to be flying all over the place here, and certainly right now he's done nothing to disappoint us. He is just standing back there and flinging the football and throwing it as hard as he can and trying to jam the ball. It makes for an interesting evening for the defensive backfield, and I'm sure Mike Holmgren told his defense, be ready, man. The ball's going to be out there. You're going to have a chance to make some plays.
He won't be deterred. Right now he's 4 out of 9 for 31 yards. And on 3rd and 5, he's going for Davis again, and Davis is out of bounds. And even had there been interference on it with Merton Hanks covering on the play, there is a flag down, but it's in the offensive backfield. I was going to say even had there been defensive interference on the pass reception, the pass was out of bounds.
Yeah, you'll have a holding on the Packers here. And interesting right here, do they take it and move them back, or they force them right here to punt or try to kick a field goal? Not an easy way to go inside the wind here, or into the wind.
I think you refuse the call, make it 4th down, because you're still looking at a 50-yard field goal into the wind.
Offense. Penalties decline. 4th down.
I would take my chances, especially with Favre. I mean, if you put Favre in another 3rd and long situation, you run the risk of, Brett being Brett and completing the pass and moving the chains.
Well, they're going to give it a shot at the field goal here.
Ryan Longwell comes in. This will be a 50-yard attempt. The holder is Matt Hasselbeck into a swirling wind. Blocked, and it's picked up by Sean Springs, who's been all over the joint tonight. And Sean Springs doing a Dion imitation. Touchdown.
Now we talked about returns for touchdowns. This is a defensive team that has all kinds of players that can make plays just like this. And now we see a flag at the end.
Down at the goal line, maybe for an excessive celebration.
No, you're going to have a call against number 11, Matt Hasselbeck, for his pushing of Sean Springs at the back of the end zone. It's going to be a personal foul. Backup quarterback pushing the DB.
Yes, so the touchdown will stand. Hasselbeck was the holder. It might be Lamar King.
That's who it is.
Number 92. And then Springs comes up with it.
And now what happens on nights like tonight with the wind blowing the way it is, kickers try to drive the football. They don't get the height. And big, tall defensive linemen like Lamar King can come in and make a play. So the rookie makes a big play on Monday Night Football.
The Seahawks noted for touchdowns on returns, block kicks, fumbles, interceptions, or what have you. In their last 30 games, that's 20 return touchdowns. That one's 61 yards, and Peterson's extra point is good. So a 50-yard field goal turns into a Seattle touchdown. 4:45 left in the quarter, and the Seahawks take a 7-0 lead at Lambeau.
So in conclusion, I'd like to thank you, shareholder.
7-0 Seattle with 4:45 to go in the first quarter at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Each team coming in with a mark of 4-2. The blocked kick. Hasselbeck held. Longwell had it blocked, and there's Mark Shimura wearing the headset, the great tight end who does hope to return next year. He's on injured reserve this year with a bruised spinal column, but it will not require surgery. That is the good news, and he hopes to be back next season. As Desmond Howard takes it from the 9 back out to the 27-yard line. He's tackled there by Willie Williams. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. The St. Paul Company's prosperity and liability insurance for business, without question, the St. Paul. Charles Schwab, when we created a smarter kind of investment firm, we also created a smarter kind of investor. And Nortel Networks, how the world shares ideas. That block kick, by the way, by Seattle, Lamar King blocked it. He was their #1 draft choice out of Saginaw Valley State. Backup defensive tackle. Makes his first big mark of his professional career. As far as pass caught by Davis. Davis is the guy who gets all the playing time now in the absence of Shimura. First down, 11-yard pickup.
Tyrone Davis, Al, started as a wide receiver for the New York Jets and came here and was kind of like their pass receiving tight end. Your third down guy, you can bring him in because he thinks like a wide receiver. He's not a great blocker at the point of attack, but he certainly, in talking to Chamorro before the game, has the ability to get downfield and make plays after the catch. Now, it's interesting, Al, we saw the shot of Lambeau Field from there. If you've never been here, to experience a game here is truly a special feeling.
It's probably as close to a college atmosphere as any stadium in the country. It's that kind of a feel. It's a bowl. It's when you look at it, you have the 3 levels of luxury boxes, which you can see at the rim of the stadium, but every other seat is a bench. There are no backs to the seats here.
Right, exactly.
First down from the 37. Now this is Levins. And I think Kansas City would be the other, where everybody dresses in red. Here, of course, everybody dresses in the Packer green and gold. Let's go to Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Al, Mike Holmgren isn't the only former Packer to return to Lambeau. Defensive lineman Sean Jones, who of course won a Super Bowl in '96. Sean, what was the impact of Mike Holmgren on this team, and what are they missing?
Well, you know, he came from a winning tradition, and he brought that tradition back to Lambeau. Having had all the success that he had in previous years, he just brought the championship feeling back here. It took him a little time to get there, but they got the championship feeling back here.
Does everything look familiar on the field? Is there anything Seattle's doing that surprises you?
It looks like a real strategic chess match right now. You can see that they're doing pretty much the same thing, but they're getting there in different formations. They're setting up people differently, so it looks differently, but they're still deploying them the same way.
Well, I bet Mike still wishes he had you. Thanks, Sean. Back to you guys.
You heard Sean talking about deployment of receivers and things, and what the Packers are trying to do right now is to confuse the defensive coordinator and defensive players of the Seahawks and showing them looks that they might not have seen the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Third down and 5 out of a split back set here after Levins had picked up 5. Favre is pressured, throws, and it's dropped by Dorsey Levins. That's incomplete, and it's 3 and out for the Packers. And Favre reaching for that hand, and that's a problem that he's had, Boomer, since the preseason game we did in Madison. against the Denver Broncos when he jammed his thumb. His thumb has been swollen all season.
And his thumb has been sprained, and every time it gets hit, it hurt. And last week against the San Diego Chargers, he hit the back of his hand. I talked to him before the game, shook his hand, and there's still swelling in the back of his hand as well as his thumb. So Ray Rhodes said they're watching that, so they know that if he does hurt his hand, they will not call another pass play.
Aguilar to kick. Seahawks let this one bounce.
When I said they won't call another pass play, it'll be in that series. They won't call back-to-back pass plays if his hand is hurting him.
They'll take a rest right now because Seattle gets the ball. 2:37 left in the quarter in Green Bay. 7-0 Seattle.
Ooh, that's ugly, isn't it?
Mike Holmgren has not walked off this field with a long face very often. There it is, the best winning percentage by a head coach in any one stadium. Holmgren in Lambeau Field, 42 wins, 5 losses. And tonight, coaching for the first time on the other side of the field, has a 7-0 lead as Ricky Waters takes it up to the 19-yard line for a gain of 1. College football this Saturday, and the big star in this state is Ron Dane, the Great Dane from Wisconsin. You'll see him against Purdue at 3:30 Eastern Time. Regional action here on ABC, along with those other games this Saturday. College football right here on ABC. Chiefs heads out in force, of course, at Lambeau Field. 2nd down and 9 at the 19-yard line. Kitna throws, and that is incomplete. Try to get it into Sean Dawkins, who felt he was interfered with by Mike McKenzie. Officials say no.
Al, Mike McKenzie's a great story. He was one of 3 rookies drafted this year by the Green Bay Packers in order to try to strengthen their defensive backfield. He was the last of the 3 drafted. He finds himself starting now. Vincent and Antoine Edwards were the other 2. He had an interception last week against San Diego. Ray Rhodes told us he was in the wrong spot when he made that interception. So after he got all the congratulations from his team, he said, "You're in the wrong spot. Get back to where you belong now."
3rd down and 9, and Ray would know he was a great defensive back himself. And that's incomplete, intended for Dawkins, and there is a flag down. Darren Sharper
just laid right into John Kitna on the blitz, and Kitna showed me some courage standing in there and taking it, knowing that it was coming, and still threw the football.
That's not the reason for the flag. The flag is up at the 36-yard line.
I think they're going to wonder about this ball is uncatchable.
There
we go.
No foul on the play.
You know, in the NFL, when you're a quarterback, you're going to stand in there and you're going to take some shots. You just don't know when they're going to come or where they're going to come from. And right there, Kitna shows courage standing in and delivering the football.
He saw the image of Sharper. And down he went. 4th down and 9. Fiegels to punt. Desmond Howard back to receive it.
Don't you get the feeling that Desmond Howard is going to try to do something special here?
He's had a couple of good run backs already tonight. The one-time Super Bowl MVP runs out of room here up to the 48-yard line. Tackled by Brian Milne with 1:45 to go in the opening quarter. Sunday, the phenomenon returns for 15 straight nights. The return of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Sunday at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, right here on ABC. 15 consecutive nights. Joey Galloway is a guy who'd like to be. They wanted to make Joey a millionaire many times over in Seattle.
Well, we talk about Joey Galloway sitting out. He's their all-pro wide receiver. He's tremendous. He's got 4.2 speed. Not many people in the league have that type of speed, but he feels like he's underpaid, and he has to sit out, and he wants to make his money. And watching what happened to Jamal Henderson, I can't say that it's not hard to understand where he's coming from.
Here is Favre, and Favre loses the football, and it is a live ball, and Seattle has it. They're going to rule it a fumble. Favre not trying to throw it, losing the football, and Matt Labounty recovers it. If he's trying to throw it and the arm is coming forward, that's one thing. But here he loses the football, puts up a mild beat, but it is a fumble and a recovery by Seattle.
See, that ball actually came back out of his hand. Balls on nights like tonight, we've seen it already. We've talked about it. The balls are slippery. They're slick. And right here, he's just trying to get a defender to stop pursuing him.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and he's trying to pull the old, hey, let me just fake it out, and then I'll take it out to the sideline.
Exactly, because there was nobody downfield. When we looked downfield, there was no intended receiver, nobody even close. From the 49-yard line, Kitna now goes back to work, and Kitna tries to shovel it forward. Vonnie Holliday creates that. And that will be ruled a fumble.
I gotta be honest with you, I don't know how to analyze this kind of stuff because this stuff's not supposed to happen. And you have to wonder about Brett Favre, and you can see right there whether or not his hand is solid enough to hold on to the football. We talked about how he hurt his hand last week again. But take a look at Vonnie Holliday.
Yep.
Now, that's obviously a fumble right there, and Ricky Waters just falling at Ricky.
Kitten has been prone to fumbles. They keep that precious thumb heated up on the sideline in the final minute of the period. 2nd and long, and Ricky Waters has nowhere to roam. He's tackled at the 44 by Vaughn Booker. So it'll be 3rd down and 17 upcoming with a half-minute to go in the first quarter. And that's a scene, remember, we saw that in August in Madison, Wisconsin. Favre injured his thumb that night, had to come out of the game. X-rays were negative, and he keeps banging it on helmets and shoulder pads, and he'll just have to live with it all season.
Well, it doesn't seem to bother him in fourth quarter of games, though, does it?
No, it doesn't. He's got it loose by then.
What it is.
3rd and 17 from the 44-yard line. Kitna hits Dawkins, and Sean into Green Bay territory, but well short of the first down at the 43-yard line. It'll be 4th down.
And you can see Mike Holmgren just playing field position, try to get the ball out to the receiver and give his punter a chance to put them in trouble, the Green Bay Packers, field position-wise.
Into the first quarter, Seattle 7, Green Bay nothing, and Monday Night Football returns after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
We asked the tough fans of the St. Paul Saints to test the new Norelco Quadra Action Razor for 21 days.
Back in Green Bay, Al Michaels, Boomer Esiason, and then Leslie Visser. Second quarter begins with a Seattle punt. Seahawks on top 7-0. Jeff Fiegel's kick. Howard called for the fair catch and then let it bounce. Fabian Bowens downs it at the 8-yard line. You talk about a potpourri.
That's a mess. That is a mess.
The first thing that I think of, Boomer, is how many times will you see a team have 6 possessions in a quarter? But there they are with the ugly results of each of the half dozen. And for Brett Favre tonight, well, the 3-time MVP, occasionally you'll have a quarter like this. The interception by Sean Springs here. The fumble there, recovered by Seattle. And now he takes over at his own 10-yard line on first down. Fake toss, and then floats one, and it floated almost into the arms of Springs again for another interception. Incomplete.
Al, I think the key word of that last description was occasionally. And, you just hope that it doesn't carry over, but he's amazing. And I go back to the thing that when Mike Holmgren left, and there's Sean Springs right there, their talent, he had 7 picks last year, and he's certainly a playmaker from Ohio State, but you can see right here, he's not afraid to throw the ball. And most quarterbacks in the league would be sitting on the sideline right now after a few plays like this. But remember, Mike Holmgren's not on the sideline of the Green Bay Packers any longer. You wonder who's keeping their foot on Brett.
2nd down and 10. Favre has that one tipped and knocked down at the line of scrimmage, and Brett has begun the game against his old coach. 5 of his first 14 for 41 yards. That's Cortez Kennedy, Pro Bowler, getting a hand on it.
You talk about defenders coming at you, and here's Cortez, and for a big man his size, he's 6'3", 306. They have him listed at 306. That's not 306 right there. But when he comes through like that, to be able to make an adjustment shows you how athletic he is and how talented he is, and why he's been to the Pro Bowl so many times.
3rd down and 10. Favre's pass here caught by Schrader. They get Bill into the act,
and he fumbles.
Bill loses the football at the 20-yard line. That is the 5th fumble of the game. but this one is retained by Green Bay. Still, they will be short of the first down, and they'll be forced to punt. That's Marco Rivera who comes up with the football.
You know, he might have had the first down now had he not fumbled, and you can see the ball is obviously slippery, and players have to do something, either get the gloves off or just somehow concentrate on putting that ball away. And you can see everybody looking up at the replay board. Well, Smith just absolutely drills him, and Chad Brown comes in from the other side. I haven't seen a defense like this in a long time, this active and forcing the ball loose like this.
Aguiar the punt. Charlie Rogers, the rookie from Georgia Tech, averaging 20 yards per punt return. And bringing this one back only 5.
And notice Charlie took his gloves off and is now playing with his bare hands.
Seattle has it at the 50. 13:45 to the half. 7-0 Seahawks. A reminder to join us now for Enhanced TV at ESPN.com or NFL.com. As the Seattle Seahawks.
All right, I like it.
The big cheese.
All right.
At the 50-yard line, the Seattle Seahawks, 1st and 10. Ricky Waters on a sweep. And runs into some traffic as he turns the corner and gets tackled by Brian Williams after a 3-yard pickup.
We talked to Ray Rhodes about his defense, and we asked him who is playing well, and he said when they have to play against Ricky Waters, the linebackers are going to have to play well, and certainly Bernardo Harris, George Kuntz, and Brian Williams have done that for Ray Rhodes this year. Feels real good about his linebacking play and his defense in general.
Then he gets Santana Dotson back tonight as well. He's missed 4 games with a bad back. Then we hit in and out of the lineup. There he is in there right now on 2nd down and 7, number 71. Waters. And he picks up about 4.
And there's Dotson making the tackle. And when you play against a back like Ricky Waters, on defense, you always have to stay at home because of his propensity to cut it back. He has a real good sense of vision and field. And he's not afraid to cut the ball all the way back against the grain. So when you are getting ready to play, you have to make sure that you have to stay there and stay at home. And that's exactly what Santana Dotson did right here. You can see he's reading. He's not overreacting. He's staying there, and he's waiting for the running back to come back so he can make the play.
Had a stinger in the game against Detroit a few weeks back and has been inactive since. 3rd down and 3 as Kitna throws, and it's incomplete. Trying to dump it off to Reggie Brown, the fullback, and threw it behind him, and Seattle is forced to kick.
Now, when John Kitna gets more comfortable in the pocket, he'll complete passes like that. They had the appropriate play on for the defense. Reggie Brown, you could see right there, is telling me, just put it out in front of me, just put it out in front of me. And Kitna's just got to calm down and just throw the ball easily and give his back a chance to make the catch.
Jeff Fiegels, his 780th punt, 780th of the decade, is fair caught at the 14-yard line by Desmond Howard. 12-11 left in the half. The Fox River in Green Bay, 7-0 Seattle.
3 years ago, my IT guys told me there'd be
2:15 Eastern time from Miami. And we go to Minneapolis next Monday night. The Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. A good one.
Well, maybe they can come to Minnesota with us next week. It seems like the sleeping giant has awakened in Minnesota, courtesy of Jeff George.
They have. Here is Levens taking it up to the 18-yard line for a gain of 3. 2nd down and 7 for the Packers. We're going to see a lot of the Packers. They'll be on 3 times the rest of the way on Monday night, counting tonight. And we'll see the Vikings 3 times down the stretch as well.
You know, they've been battling all year just to get back to 500. A big win yesterday in Denver. Should be an exciting game next week.
Definitely. 2nd down and 7 from the 18-yard line. As far as it caught by Antonio Freeman at the 26-yard line.
Well, the other thing to watch when you're watching the Green Bay Packers, you know that they've had a terrible time in the first quarter to completing passes. They're fumbling it. They're not looking good. Brett's trying to force things. But Sherm Lewis has got so much confidence in Brett Favre that they're just going to continue to throw. I mean, that's the way they're going to win. He's going to be aggressive with them, and he's going to keep them going. He's not going to let them, where most offensive coordinators would be more conservative and try to take the quarterback out of the game. He's just going to hand them more plays.
Here's Levens with a track record like that. He has to be the guy. Chad Brown makes the tackle. We saw Freeman make that catch. And when we were talking about Joey Galloway, they made Galloway a tremendous offer. I mean, in effect, about $5 million a year. But he wanted bigger numbers than Freeman. Antonio Freeman is now the highest paid wide receiver in the league. Galloway would have been second.
Well, when you think of Joey Galloway, again, you have to remember that he's holding out much like Jamal Anderson did, thinking that, you know, if I go out on this field and I get myself injured, I might not ever be able to make that money again. And whether you think it's inappropriate or not, the fact of the matter is NFL contracts are not guaranteed.
Second and 11, and that's caught by Corey Bradford. And Corey Bradford got into the seam and goes all the way for the touchdown.
Look at the pursuit of Jay Bellamy, the safety. He went for the interception, and instead of going for the receiver, and Brett Favre rifles it in there. I don't think Jay Bellamy has ever seen a ball thrown that hard. And he knows right there, Jay Bellamy, number 20, that he took the wrong pursuit angle. Here he comes. He's trying to go for it, and he can't make it. He cannot make the play. And number 27, Willie Williams, falls down, and Bradford's off and running.
74 yards. Favre to Bradford, and Longwell's extra point is good.
Do you see it all with Brett Favre? Feast or famine, right?
Mainly feast. 10-17 to the half. Game tied.
Be relentless. He's non-stop.
Well, he and Bradford linked in the Minnesota game on that 4th and 1 with 12 seconds left at the end of September to win it. And here, 74 yards, longest play of Bradford's career to tie the game. Amon Green is back to receive. Ryan Longwell to kick off for Green Bay. .17 left in the opening half. Winner of this game goes to 5-2, and again the front blowing through eastern Wisconsin tonight. Flag is starched, and that's the reason the ball is just falling off the tee again.
And we got here yesterday, it was 60 degrees. All this afternoon it was 60 degrees, and all of a sudden around 6 o'clock this evening, I mean, it is freezing.
Today, November wind, as Jackson would say, blowing through America's dairyland.
Well, he doesn't say that anymore. He just does it out in the West, right?
That's right. That's right. All he knows
you talk about a good job.
That's right. Just the only one he has to worry about is a Santa Ana wind. The kick is bouncing at the 16. Green has to pick it up and then brings it back to the 22-yard line. Amon Green let it bounce. And that's where Seattle takes it. Boomer, another look now at the TD.
Here's the safety, Jay Bellamy. He's going to come down in here, and it's all about pursuit and making sure that you hit the right angles in football. He sees a 3-step drop by Brett Favre, takes the wrong angle, and the players in this league are so fast, Al, that if you're not on target and you're not hitting your landmarks, goodbye. And that's exactly what Corey Bradford just did right there.
At the 22-yard line, Seattle with a 1st and 10. Crowd very much into it as the Seahawks begin this drive with a kick and a pass. And John's pass is caught up at the 33-yard line by Mike Pritchard.
You're going to have holding now on the Seattle Seahawks.
And that will come back. It'll make it 1st and 20 instead of a 1st down for Seattle.
Momentum switches in these games quickly, and you can just feel it happening right now.
Legal hands to the face, 71 offense. 1st down.
Walter Jones, he's the left tackle.
One of those young, emerging stars on the Seattle Seahawks that Mike Holmgren has told us about. Sean Springs, Pete Kendall, Walter Jones. This team is going to have some interesting financial decisions to make in the offseason because of their young stars compared to their older stars making the big contracts.
Gilbert Brown plugging up the middle. No other way to describe it. And Ricky Waters breaks his longest run of the year into Green Bay territory. And Ricky had not had a single run longer than 19 yards this season. Is finally hauled down by Darren Sharper after a 45-yard gallop.
And now you could see as soon as he gets through the line of scrimmage that he still possesses the burst to get away from everybody. And when he sees a hole, he will hit it. We talked about his propensity to cut back. Right here, he stays play side, and he runs right through the hole the way it's supposed to be blocked, and Walter Jones makes a great point of attack block to spring Ricky Waters.
Jones atoning for the penalty call on the prior play, springing Ricky. Almost feel as if the drought is over after that one, and he picks up 3, taking it to the 40-yard line.
Well, the quickest way to get momentum back on your side is to run the ball just like that, and you could feel like a collective sigh come over the stadium where everybody just kind of calmed down and couldn't believe what they just saw.
That's Waters' longest run since the '96 season when he did it for Ray Rhodes, not against him, as a member of the Eagles. Under 9 minutes to play in the half, with the game tied at 7. Seattle's touchdown on a blocked kick. Green Bay's touchdown on a far to Bradford 74-yard strike. Plugging through the middle goes Reggie Brown, the fullback, and then the ball comes loose. There's no whistle. This is Tyrone Williams with the football.
And finally, somebody decided to just slip on it.
And it winds up in the arms of Bernardo Harris.
Bernardo, the savvy veteran he is, just sat on the ball.
Vaughn Booker created the fumble.
Ball was fumbled, recovered by Green Bay. First down.
Give Booker the credit for it, as he was able to dislodge the football, and Harris winds up with it.
You know, the interesting thing, Al, when you watch the replay, you'll see the Seattle Seahawks players just stop. And you'll see right here, everybody's kind of stopping right here. You can see they're coming out of the pile, and then they realize that there's a fumble. And I don't know what Williams is doing right here. Just put the ball away. You're not Deion Sanders,
right,
my friend.
He always seems to
Here's another
looking to lateral it, and then Levens fumbles the football. And Seattle has it.
Oh, man.
It's the weather.
You think so?
Or fate. I don't know what it is.
It's Halloween is what it is.
It's post-Halloween. It's that post-Halloween syndrome. There's a flag down. Darren Smith came up with the football for Seattle. Ron Blum to give us the call. This will be a personal foul against Seattle.
I believe after the play.
Fumble was recovered by Seattle after the play was over. Unnecessary roughness, number 70, Seattle, 15 yards, 1st and 10.
Michael Sinclair gets in an added shot. That costs him 15, but Seattle will retain possession back on their side of the 50, however.
Take those defenders in this league are all trying to rip the football out too, Al. That's one of the reasons that tackling isn't as good as it used to be. Jay Bellamy atones for his mistake on the previous series of downs for the Seattle defense and rips the ball out of Dorsey Levin's hands.
Already 5 turnovers in the game, and Seattle has it at the 48-yard line. Kitna going deep for Mays and incomplete. Good coverage on the play. Mays unable to get free of Tyrone Williams.
Well, if there's a guy in this stadium tonight that wants to make a play, it's Derek Mays. He was traded here to the Seattle Seahawks from the Green Bay Packers right at the end of preseason, and has really fit in nicely for Mike Holmgren in this offense. And we had asked Mike, you know, when you were here, you had problems with Derek a little bit. He goes, I was mad at him all the time because I didn't think that he really was a true professional football player in the true sense of the word, that he didn't put the time in.
Had to take him to the principal's office.
He sure did, yes. And now all of a sudden he likes him. He's making plays for him. He's their leading receiver. and somebody who knows this offense very well.
Second down and 10, and that is caught on the far sideline by Sean Dawkins. Comes up about 2 yards shy of the first down. Well, of course, overwhelming everything in the NFL today, Boomer, is the death of Walter Payton, and we'll have a retrospective at halftime. We'll also talk to his longtime teammate and friend, Mike Singletary. When you think of him, they called him Sweetness. They called him that as much for his disposition as what he did on the football field.
Al, from all the times that I'd ever been around him, Sweetness was the appropriate nickname. His smile was infectious. You can see it right here. He was a true inspiration to his teammates. I'm sure Mike Singletary will tell us that one of the toughest football players that I've ever seen, never ran out of bounds, always took on the tacklers, and inspired his teammates. And it's a great loss.
Third down and 10, and that is caught by Ricky Waters. Ricky had to reach down. The ball looked like it was about to come loose, and he's able to grasp it and pick up the first down. There's a flag down.
I think they're actually going to call number 51, Brian Williams, for holding Ricky Waters coming out of the backfield.
And they can decline that penalty.
Illegal contact, 51 defense. Penalties declined. First down.
I was talking to Sherm Lewis before the game, the Packer offensive coordinator, and he was coaching in the Pro Bowl a few years ago. He said, I look over there, and he said, the running backs I'm coaching are Eric Dickerson, Tony Dorsett, William Andrews, and Walter Payton. He said, I need a backup fullback. And Walter said, I'm your guy.
Right,
I'm your guy.
I mean, a true team player, somebody who is absolutely, you love to watch on football, old tapes, and you watch the way he ran over people. I think if I were a running back coach in this league, I'd be pulling out his films and saying, this is how you run the football, gentlemen. You do not run out of bounds. You take on the tacklers. You deliver the blow, and you don't take it. And that's what I'll most remember about Walter Payton, how tough he was.
16,726 yards. Nobody has run for more yardage in the history of the NFL. Second down and 8 at the 21-yard line. Kitna throws, and is caught by Derek Mays, and Mays takes that to the 10-yard line, and that's a first down.
Now, you talked about John Kitna and the fact that he's only thrown 2 interceptions. He's careful in the red zone. Mike Holmgren loves to throw down in here. That's one of the reasons that Brett Favre, for all those years, had so many touchdowns. As opposed to, say, like the Dallas Cowboys, when they get down into this area, they want to give it to Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman. His statistics kind of suffer from that. Well, it's the opposite. When you're down in here, Mike Holmgren loves to throw the football and throw touchdown passes. And I think Kitna will be the one that will be the beneficiary of that in the years to come.
First and goal from the 10, so right to the air he will go. Pump fake to the back of the end zone, and it is juggled and caught by Mays.
What a
Derek
catch.
Mays, is he going to do a Lambeau leap? Not quite. Well, Mays had done a few Lambeau leaps before, and even Kitna says, hey, come on. Just enjoy the moment. And actually, Holmgren was telling us last night he didn't want any funny stuff from Derek Mays.
Well, I think he forgot for a moment who he was playing for, but what a terrific catch, and what a great job by John Kitna not going to his first receiver, who was the tight end, coming underneath and throwing it to Derek Mays as his secondary receiver. We talked about how Mike Holmgren loves to throw.
Kicks away, gentlemen, kicks away, gentlemen.
Todd Peterson for the point after, and so that has silenced the stunned Lambeau crowd as Mays makes the catch.
You can see Mays is actually the second or third receiver out. The tight end underneath, they were trying to sneak him out. But Kitna sees that his tight end is not open, and he hits Mays.
On a night when every other ball is being dropped.
You know, Patty, I'm
feeling a little bit better after Mays makes a great catch in the back of the end zone. They saying that's my man Kitna.
You know that he's not stupid now. You know, he knows he wants to get to his quarterback and say, hey, keep throwing me the football. They're always working you, Al. They're always working you.
It's like every business.
Desmond Howard at the 9-yard line.
They're all like 7-Eleven. They're open 24 hours a day. we talked about John Kitna and going to his second receiver, and you can see right here, here's your tight end. He's going to go down, and he's going to go across, and he's going to be covered by this linebacker. Mays, the second receiver, is going to come into the back of the end zone, and Kitna does a real nice job of just being patient, poised, and looking over the field. And there goes the tight end. He sees that he's covered, and then comes back to his second receiver. And then take a look at this at the end. You talked about Mike Holmgren telling Derek Mays, don't be stupid, don't do anything. Look at this.
Couldn't help himself.
Yeah, well.
First down from the 17, and Favre gets sacked. That's Cortez Kennedy on top of him. And that's 306 pounds on top of you.
Few more pounds than that, Al, I think.
Yeah. Just ask Brett. Monday Night Football being brought to you by the people inspired to build vehicles for your mind and heart, Nissan Driven. Miller Lite, taste a true Pilsner. Dell Computers, pioneering direct internet ideas for your business. Be direct Dell. And Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, this is the taste.
Here you go. Fred is actually audibling right now, and a guy that's struggling tonight, he's making the play calls at the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 16, and that is Sam Adams. Sam Adams is playing his first ever Monday night game. He's in his 6th year out of Texas A&M, and when you play on a line with Michael Sinclair and Cortez Kennedy, you don't get a lot of attention, but this is one of the finest defensive tackles in the league.
And talking to Frank Winters, the center for the Green Bay Packers before the game, said this guy is a house. You hear so much about Warren Sapp, and rightfully so, because he's a great player. But over in the AFC, there's a pair right here of defensive tackles, Cortez Kennedy and Sam Adams. If you stay on them like Mike Holmgren's doing, they'll play for you and they'll make big plays.
3rd down and 18. Seahawks do jump. Will they induce is the question. Probably not, because the play is allowed to continue and Favre's pass is incomplete.
And he whipped that one knowing that he had a free play.
Offside, 94 defense, 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
Ron Blum, a golf pro by trade, gives Green Bay a mulligan.
Okay. That's good, Al. I like
that. Wasn't that good, but
there's Chad Brown right at the bottom of your screen, but also Michael Sinclair up top. They could have called either one. You know, the interesting thing about Michael Sinclair is that he's actually diabetic, and he takes sugar pills, does not inject himself during the day of the game in between halves, but certainly is an inspiration for all diabetics across the country, the way he plays football.
In fact, has a meal, has a sandwich at halftime. 3rd down and 13, and this is Dorsey Levens, and a flag comes in at the end of that play.
And that's going to be a late hit on Sam Adams.
Holmgren might be ready for a Samuel Adams after this.
Unnecessary roughness. Number 98 defense. Forearm to the helmet. 15 yards. 1st down.
That's as bad a penalty as you can take. I mean, instead of a punt and good field position, look at this.
You see that he's clearly down, and well, it probably looked worse than it actually was, and the official was right there. He probably heard the clank, and he probably felt like Dorsey was unprotected, and he wanted to make sure that the defense realizes that if you do that, you're going to get penalized.
So lead with the elbow. And this is Levens now trying to exploit it, and it's close to a 1st down. Run out of bounds by Kerry Joseph.
Al, when you talk to coaches around the league, they'll tell you there are about 7 plays in a game that give you the opportunity to either win or lose the game, and that play right there could be one of those 7 plays. You just never know when it's going to happen.
2nd and 1.
Holmgren still angered over the Adams personal foul. Really giving it to the officials.
They're actually going to measure here, I think. When you look at Mike Holmgren, you see the glasses, you see like the studious kind of look to him. He's a bright guy, but he can be one fierce guy on the sideline. I mean, he is in everybody's face, and I should probably remind everybody, the reason that he left Green Bay wasn't because he was unhappy here, is because that Seattle gave him the opportunity to run the whole thing. He is now GM. I believe he's vice president. director of football operations, and the head coach. So he's wearing 3 different hats.
Well, what he had is the opportunity to have the same power that Jimmy Johnson has in Miami, that Bill Parcells has with New York. Take a look at the play again here, and this is what Holmgren is still mad about. It has nothing to do with the measurement, but he has the same power. Shanahan would fall into that category.
Parcells.
Yeah, Parcells, Johnson. And to a degree, people don't realize it, but Dick Vermeil in St. Louis and Bobby Ross in Detroit have that sort of power. Second down and inches. And this is Levens taking it to the 40-yard line, tackled by Darren Smith.
I would think that it would be increasingly difficult in this day and age because of the salary cap ramifications, the free agency, the scouting, the ability to coach a player that you might not want to be giving a contract extension to. When every player on your team knows that you're the one who's controlling whether or not he gets a contract, not only is he coaching you, but now he's also negotiating with you. A very tough deal to deal with.
Third down and 1 from the 39-yard line. And this is Levens again, escaping a tackle in the backfield and out to the 48-yard line. Cortez Kennedy could not take him down, and that would have been a 4th down situation. Instead, they moved the sticks, and with 2:43 to go in the half, Green Bay trying to exploit that late hit by Adams and pick up at least 3 before the half.
Take a look at this. Cortez Kennedy comes flying through the backfield, and Dorsey has the quick feet. That's what you want running backs to have, to be able to break a tackle. Breaks actually 2 tackles and makes a nice gain out.
Here's Levens, and he can't get out of the backfield this time because that is Philip Daniels, the right end, who says he ain't going anywhere.
Now, when you watch this from up here, I mean, you have to be impressed with the speed of the Seattle Seahawks defense. I mean, they're making plays in the backfield and getting back there, and even the bigger players, the heavier players on this team are making some outstanding plays getting back there.
4 of the Seattle defenders wound up going to the Pro Bowl last year on an 8-8 team. 2-minute warning. Seattle by 7.
Monday Night Football is online, featuring...
Coming up on the Lexus halftime show, a look back at the career of the great Walter Payton, who died today at the age of 45. We'll also visit a live talk with Mike Singletary, the great Bear linebacker and teammate of Walters for so many years. Schrader makes the catch on 2nd down and 12 up to the 47-yard line in the final 2 minutes now of the first half. A reminder, tomorrow on ABC, you knew it was just a matter of time before they couldn't keep their hands off each other on an all-new Spin City. That's tomorrow right here on ABC. Now for the Packers up at the 46-yard line. Favre, after buying time, hits Schrader, and he takes it to the 42-yard line. Tackled there by Chad Brown.
This is the same type of play that they ran before when Bill Schrader actually fumbled the football. What you really love about this is the wide receiver catching the ball and making like a running back and getting straight up the field. This is how you're supposed to do it as a wide receiver, run after the catch.
Green Bay takes its first timeout.
Mask and...
On 2nd and 10 now from the 42-yard line. Favre under pressure, gets whacked as he throws, intended for Davis. And the crowd looking for a flag as Brian Walker came in and hammered him, and there is no laundry on the field.
We talk about the different things that you can do to try to confuse Brett Favre, and the Seahawks are doing that on defense, bringing different blitzes out of the secondary. And this is what you would call a zone blitz, where he comes in flying by himself. And you can see number 68 right there. Mike Wall, the offensive guard for the Green Bay Packers, just turned his attention away from the blitz and tries to help the left tackle. And Brett Favre pays the price.
3rd down and 10 now. Favre has thrown for 146 yards and a half, more than half of that yardage, as there is a false start here. More than half that yardage on the one pass to Bradford.
You know, it's only 14-7, and it's close, and I don't really know how many points you need on the board.
5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
To keep Brett Favre from thinking that he can win the game.
He's won 3 games, as you know, at the very end, close to the gun.
We saw a shot of Ray Rhodes there on the side. You know, last year, he couldn't figure out whether a quarterback wanted to throw it or hand it off. And this year, here's a guy that just wants to throw it. And remember, he was in Philadelphia last year where there were no touchdown passes.
Couldn't figure out who to put in at quarterback half the time. 3rd down and 15. There's a little dump off to Levens. Levens out of the backfield, and Levens turns what would have been no gain into a big gain, and very close to a 1st down. They'll spot it at the 32-yard line. Cortez Kennedy couldn't wrap him up. A missed tackle there, and now all of a sudden close enough probably for a measurement.
Cortez Kennedy reads the play perfectly. He just doesn't shut the door and slam it down on Dorsey Levens, and we saw Dorsey break a few tackles before. And take a look at Winters, right? Actually, Marco Rivera pulling on Cortez Kennedy's jersey, but that's why Dorsey Levens is so good. He can break tackles and make plays.
Enough for a 1st down. Favre now escaping a would-be sack, and then is lucky it wasn't intercepted by the longtime 49er Merton Hanks. Brian Walker again on the safety blitz, leveling Brett.
I watched a few of the games earlier this year here in Lambeau where they came back and won. And a lot of this is similar. It's eerie in the fact that, he'll run a bound back here. He'll be a little bit under control. You can see he avoids the tackler, but you cannot throw the ball against the grain like this. How lucky. That's about 4 times tonight. They could have had picks where they dropped the football.
2nd down and 10. Levens to the 31-yard line on a somewhat curious call. 3rd down and 9 upcoming, and a timeout is called by Green Bay. They have 1 remaining. Those numbers look a heck of a lot better because of 174-yard touchdown pass.
I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of things happening on those 24 attempts. There was one where it wasn't an attempt, but he fumbled it. It just seems to me like, Andy Reid is not here. He is now the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, who was his mentor, his go-between between Mike Holmgren and himself when he was on the side. He would come off if he made a mistake. He knew that Mike Holmgren was going to be all over him.
But to put a fine point on it, take a look at that. The highest winning percentages when you combine the head coach with the starting quarterback, a minimum of 100 games, it would figure Vince Lombardi and Bart Starr on top, Tom Landry and Roger Staubach next, Don Shula, Bob Greasy, and then Mike Holmgren and Brett Favre, 74 and 35, 4th best of all time. 3rd down and 10 now from the 31-yard line. And Brett's pass is dropped by Schrader, slicing over the middle, drops it at the 23-yard line. It'll be 4th down, and you're looking at about a 48-yard field goal attempt.
It looked to me like Schrader had his hands the wrong way. If he would have turned around and tried to snatch the ball instead of try to cradle it, he might have made the catch. And let's take a look at it. He was wide open, and
with this swirling wind here, Boomer, as we look at the play, they're going to they are going to go for it. Ray Rhodes figuring he's got a better chance to make a 4th and 9 than a 48-yard field goal into that wind. And so far from the gun on 4th down. Favre throwing, and it's picked off at the 3-yard line. That's Willie Williams, who brings it back to the 5. In effect, the same as a punt.
I mean, not a bad play. You're trying to make a play down the field, and you're right. It's just like a punt. But unlike a punt, at least you have a chance to try to make a play on it.
And with 34 seconds left, Seattle will take over deep in its own territory.
Look at the wind. Look at the wind take that football just out to the left and just holds it up, and Williams goes up and snatches it. I don't really have any problem with that particular play right there by Brett Favre, but it's not going to look good on the stat sheet when it's all over said and done with.
It's tough to have the stream of consciousnly that a defensive back would need. It would be better to have knocked it down.
Right, exactly. But he wants stats too, He wants to go and say, hey, I got to pick off for Brett Favre.
He does. Seattle 14-7. That's Williams' 4th pick of the year. Of course, coming up at the half, we'll have the Walter Payton retrospective. We will visit with his longtime great friend and teammate Mike Singletary as the teams leave the field here at Lambeau. And Seattle has a 14-7 halftime lead over the Green Bay Packers. And we'll return after this message from the National Football League and a word from our ABC stations. 40s with a brisk wind with a capital B. So brisk, in fact, that the ball will have to be not only teed up but held in place as Longwell sends it down to the Seattle 9-yard line. Amon Green comes back up to the 27-yard line. First down, Seattle at that spot. Let's check in with Leslie Visser.
Al, Mike Holmgren looked cold and happy with his first half return to Lambeau. He said offensively, he was glad they matched the intensity here at Lambeau, but they're a little undisciplined. Defensively, he thinks the different looks they're giving Brett is having the desired effect, confusing him. When I asked Mike Holmgren, what would you have done normally in this situation to calm Brett down? He said he's a great player, and hey, I don't have to do that anymore. Guys.
Easy for him to say.
Well, we'll get to Brett Favre when they get the football, but John Kitna had a nice, solid half. Made a lot of the good reads, did not turn the football off, and that's exactly what you want to do on the road. Do not turn the football over.
Vaughn Booker came across the line. Was he induced by Grant Williams is the only question for Ron Blum. And the answer
zone
is
infraction, 96 defense, 5 yards, repeat first down.
No.
You know, conversely, you look at the Green Bay first half possessions, 4 punts, 4 turnovers, 1 blocked field goal, and then the 1 touchdown by Corey Bradford.
And a total, as you look at the statistics, of 8 fumbles collectively in the first half. 4 Green Bay turnovers, 2 for Seattle, 8 fumbles, each team lost 2. From the 32-yard line, here's Ricky Waters.
Plays over, gentlemen.
Picking up a hard yard on a 1st and 5, making it 2nd down and 4. Ricky Waters able to break one in the first half. Ricky's had a drought going here. He has not scored a touchdown on the ground this year. In fact, Seattle has not scored a rushing touchdown this season.
You know, and he might not, thinking the way that Mike Holmgren likes to play down inside the opponent's 20-yard line, throw the football. He might not get a chance to see it unless he catches it.
On 2nd and 3, here's Waters springing to the outside, and before Harris can trip him up, it is a 1st down for Seattle. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Dodge. Do not follow, do not conform, be different. PSI Net, the internet starts here. And Budweiser, made with the freshest, all-natural ingredients for brewery fresh taste.
Al, you heard Leslie Visser say that Mike Holmgren doesn't have to calm Brett Favre down, but it's going to have to fall on somebody's shoulders, whether it's Mike McCarthy, their new quarterback coach who came over from Kansas City, Sherm Lewis, the offensive coordinator, or Ray Rhodes, the head coach. They're going to have to sit down and they're going to have to tell him, look, you don't have to win this whole thing by yourself. And your job as a quarterback is not only to obviously give us the best chance to win, but not put us in the best chance to lose either.
And if that doesn't work, maybe they'll go to Mrs. Favre.
Right. She'll lay the law down. There's no question about that. But seriously, you have to play discipline. You can't just be loosey-goosey out there. There's a plan for everything.
From the 37-yard line, Kitna throws, and that is incomplete. Intended for, and a flag comes in, intended for Mays, and Tyrone Williams with the coverage.
You're not going to believe this, but on the sideline, Al, number 63, Frank Beatty, the backup center for the Seattle Seahawks, was screaming at the officials to throw the flag. Now, I don't necessarily know that he caused the flag to be thrown, but he was very adamant on the sideline, and there he is.
Pass interference, 37 defense, 1st down, Seattle.
And look, he's taking, yeah, I got it. I made that guy throw the flag. I know. Mike Holmgren saw a lot of this last year against the Minnesota Vikings here on Monday night with Randy Moss.
He did turn to look for the ball.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what we saw last year, that they did not turn around and look for the ball with defensive backs. So much so that they got rid of half of them and brought in 3 new guys.
21-yard penalty. Kitna throws, that's caught. This is Mike Pritchard making the catch at the 31-yard line.
And when you watch John Kitna play, he looks poised. And funny, we were talking to him yesterday, such a little guy face, you know, he just looks so young to me. And we had asked him, you know, how do you feel about starting? And he goes, well, let me tell you what happened last year. At the end of a Denver Seattle game, I went up to John Elway in the middle of the field and asked him for his autograph. Brought the ball and pen with him, and he obliged me and said, someday I'm going to be watching you, kid, and I'm sure John's watching him tonight.
On 1st and 10, Waters, nice slip move and takes it down to the 20-yard line for a first down. Got by Darren Sharper.
And it looks like number 51, Brian Williams, is down, pointing to his knee.
And he's a guy singled out by Rhodes yesterday when we asked him who's playing very well for you defensively. He's the first guy he mentioned. So this would be a huge loss that let Williams freelance a lot. Good in coverage, good on the pass rush, and right now down on the turf here at Lambeau. An injury timeout with 13:03 left in the third.
In section 18. All I do is dream of you the whole night through. With the dawn I still go on and dream of.
There's Brian Williams being carted off. It looked like he hurt his right knee. Number 66, Pete Kendall, the left guard for the Seattle Seahawks, caught Brian on a blitz. And you can see right here, watch, he'll come right into your screen up on the top left-hand corner. And Kendall just comes down. The most violent part of the football field is in between those two guards. And it's vicious in there, and I'll tell you, they will lay the wood to you, and especially when they catch you off balance. And it looked to me that Brian might have hurt his right knee.
And his ex-teammate, Derek Mays, comes over. And the hand is for the guy we mentioned that trying to assuage the fear of the crowd with a wave to them.
When he went down, Al, he pointed right to his knee like he knew exactly what happened.
Not only was Mays his teammate here, the two of them knew each other from the Notre Dame-USC rivalry. As Ricky Waters, as play resumes, takes it to the 13-yard line.
And you talk about all the ingredients for a big road win for the Seattle Seahawks. Well, it's turnovers by the home team, it's injuries that happen to the home team, and a steady running game that we're seeing now so far the second half with Ricky Waters going right up the middle.
Jude Waddy comes in to replace him, and Waddy is a second-year linebacker out of William and Mary.
And remember down here, Mike Holmgren likes to throw the football. We'll see if he abandons the running game to see if he can get John Kitten a touchdown pass.
Waters to the outside, inside the 10, and Ricky diving for the end zone, but comes up just a little bit short. Still doesn't have his first touchdown of the season.
And you can see he's frustrated by it, and I know that he's going to want the ball right now.
No question.
Because certainly he has carried the load the beginning of the second half. And just you could see Jones, number 71, taking on Vonnie Holiday at the point of attack. And that's right where Brian Williams was prior to his injury. You got to believe that Mike Holmgren is going to want to give the ball to Ricky Waters here, don't you think?
Ricky said, call my number, baby. Don't lose my number. Waters, good blocking, untouched into the end zone, his first rushing touchdown of the season.
How good does this Seattle team look, and how aware is John Kitna of the down clock?
Meanwhile, there is a flag down. Did they get the play off on time?
And that's what I mean. He knew exactly where the play clock was, and I believe that he got it off in time.
Illegal shift, offense, tight end was going down, well, the man was in motion, 5 yards, repeat first down.
So take back the touchdown and make it first and goal at the 7-yard line.
Well, you know what happened, Al? He saw that the clock was running down, so he tried to hurry up his team, and his offensive linemen weren't aware of it. His tight end was not aware of it. And as they went down to get set into their three-point stance, he had already set the man in motion, hence the penalty.
Gilbert Brown comes limping off, so minus Brown and Williams now.
Ricky Waters is just not going to get a rushing touchdown. It's just not going to happen.
It appears that way. Will they go to him on first and goal from the 7? They will. And he picks up 2. Second down and goal. Ricky, when you look at him through the years, yards from scrimmage per game, that is rushing and receiving, in his career, in 3 figures there, 102.4 yards per game.
That's pretty heavy-duty company right there, Al.
Tonight, 98 yards rushing alone. And 21 yards through the air on that one catch.
This has got to be a play-action pass if they're going to be in their tight form. No, I guess not.
Instead, it's a toss to Waters, desperately trying to get him that first touchdown. Is he in there? No. He's out of bounds at the 2-yard line.
You can see how angry he is.
You can hear somebody saying, where was the ball? Well, the ball couldn't have been close if the official says he's out of bounds at the 2.
Not a lot of time do you see a team go into their goal line offense so tight down here, bringing in the extra tight ends and the extra linemen to try to run a ball in from the 4-yard line. Well, let's take a look at this, and you could see him trying desperately, but watch his left foot right there step out of bounds.
It's 101 yards tonight for Ricky. 3rd down and goal. Still seeking his first touchdown of the year. This time it's a little fade, and it is caught. A flag is thrown. Sean Dawkins comes down with it. The coverage on the play by Mike McKenzie. And they discuss it in the end zone, and the call goes against the Green Bay Packers. It'll be a touchdown for Seattle.
If you don't turn and look for the ball.
34 defense. Penalties declined. It's a touchdown.
You're going to be flagged. And again, remember, Al, last year we were here. Mike Holmgren saw this time and again with the Minnesota Vikings, and they take advantage of it again. Just throw it up and let your receiver adjust to it. And the defender has to turn around and look for the football if he does not want to be penalized. Nice catch by his left hand.
Yeah, one-handed, 3rd touchdown reception of the season. The crowd is silent again. Peterson's extra point is good. And all of a sudden, with 10:30 to go in the 3rd, the Seahawks have come to town and lead the pack by 14. Math teacher, math major, and when you look at his numbers, not spectacular, but very efficient,
and
just like a math major.
And the key right here, no interceptions, no turnovers, effective, solid. Mike Holmgren demands that of his quarterback. Somebody's going to have to demand that of Brett Favre. We talked about John Kitna being a math teacher. He's probably the only quarterback in the league that truly understands the QB rating system and what makes it work.
Right.
He is the AFC leader.
His rating tonight for tonight's game is 118, which is pretty good.
Well, a few more games like this, his long-term contract is going to look quite attractive. It's going to have a lot of zeros at the end of it, and certainly so. I mean, he seems to be a solid leader. His teammates respond to him. Talking to Glenn Foley, who is the backup quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, he was telling me how bright he is, just how well he's taken to this offense.
Todd Peterson with a short kick. It is fumbled. What else is new at the 15? Picked up by Desmond Howard at the 20. And he is corralled. That is Damon Parker back at the 16-yard line. Steve Wertmeyer, the special teams coach, not particularly pleased with that effort. A reminder, Enhanced TV, you can log on to it right now by going to ESPN.com or NFL.com.
So, Al, if I'm Sherm Lewis, I'd tell Brett Favre, look, we don't have to get it all back this quarter. We don't have to force things. Let's just run our offense. Just be consistent. Follow your reads and go where the reads take you.
9 fumbles tonight. 4 of them lost, 2 by each team, and they begin by sending Levens right through the middle up to the 27-yard line.
And as I said, Frank Winters told me before the game that Brett Favre, Frank Winters being the starting center, when he walks into the huddle, there's no panic. He senses that there's always confidence. That's what makes Brett Favre so great, that he can inspire the other 10 guys around him to make them believe that they can win every game that they're in, no matter what the score is.
How could you not believe him? 3 times this year, he's done it in the last 2 minutes. 2nd down and 1. Favre will run for a first down as Sinclair chases him out of bounds.
And he throws the ball to the ball boy. You're gonna love it. I mean, he's got a smile on his face. He's playing. He's having a good time, and he's confident. And he's so sure of himself that if he makes a few mistakes, it doesn't bother him. But I still believe somebody is going to have to hold him somewhat accountable for all of his mistakes, especially tonight. You have to sit him down and say, hey, just follow it, calm down, and go where the defense takes you. Don't force it.
Report on Brian Williams, a strained right knee. The Packer linebacker is done for the night. Up to the 39-yard line. This is exactly what Green Bay needs. Establish something on the ground. Try to find the open spot then in the secondary. If you try to stop the run game, they'll give Brett just that much more room to throw.
You know, another reason that you're going to want to run the football here, too, is to kind of give your defense a chance to catch its breath on the sideline. And when you have a back like Dorsey Levens, it's amazing to me that he doesn't touch the ball more, but I know the situation that the Green Bay Packers are in when you have Brett Favre as quarterback.
Levens again breaks the tackle. Dorsey looking very sharp in this series, and that's a first down up to the 46-yard line. Tackled there by Sean Springs. 8:45 left in the third. The only 3 home games the Packers have played this season, the crowd has gone off into the parking lot and onto a celebration because he beats the Raiders with 11 seconds left, beats the Vikings with 12 seconds left, and then the Buccaneers, I mean, what was that, 1:05? Here's Favre throwing again, and that is somehow caught by Schrader.
And Willie Williams will be called for interference, but what a tremendous
Unbelievable.
Catch. Did he call it interference? Oh, he actually called it incomplete.
Well, they're going to conference. Looked like Schrader didn't even turn around as the ball got there.
The pass was ruled incomplete. Pass interference, 27 defense, first down.
That's Willie Williams.
You know what I like about this? The back judge comes in immediately and says that it's an incomplete pass, and they're decisive. There is no indecision. We always talk about the officials when they make the wrong call, and the replays sometimes show that, but right here, this is the correct call. The back judge does a nice job of coming in and make that apparent immediately. Close, though.
Yeah. 17-yard penalty. Green Bay at the Seattle 37-yard line. Back to Levens. Probing that middle. That's Basil Mitchell, actually, as Levens gets a break. And then you've got a little altercation with Dotson getting into it with Joseph and Brown, precipitating a flag. Chad Brown, a few more words for Dotson.
I'll tell you, Dotson's good. He's going to go 30 yards back now, Al.
Yep.
You know, and there's another one. When the official throws the hat like that, that's another one.
Yep, every flag in the joint's been thrown.
So now you have 3 penalties on one player right here.
You had one initially, then you had the second altercation broke out.
You know, it's mind-boggling to me sometimes why players just absolutely totally lose their focus. I can understand it maybe if somebody's going after your knee or something like that. But you could see right here Chad Brown antagonizing Dotson, and Dotson
2 personal fouls, separate incidents, both on number 72, offense. He's disqualified.
He's thrown out.
30 yards enforced against Green Bay.
So you've got 30 yards worth of penalties on a drive that's very critical, down by 14 points, and you just lost your starting right tackle.
I'm sure Ray Rhodes has got something to say right now to Dotson. I would not want to be in the middle of that conversation. You know, there's all kinds of trash talking going on the field. This is nothing new. Sticks and stones will hurt my bones, but names will never hurt me, Al.
Well,
just walk away, man. Just walk away and be smart about it. There's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse for something like that to take place in this football field, no matter what they're saying. And you could see Holmgren saying, "Throw him out, throw him out." And you wonder if Holmgren has told the guys, "Look, this guy's a hothead. We can go after him. We can get something going here."
He would know. And Green Bay tonight inactivated both backup offensive tackles, Scott Curry and Barry Stokes, and that means Mike Wall, who's been alternating at left guard with Joe Andruzzi, now has to play the rest of the game at right tackle.
And this comes on the heels of Green Bay putting together by far its best-looking running attack of the night.
And so now he's got to go right tackle against Michael Sinclair, one of the best defensive ends in football. Not really where you want to be.
And now on 1st and a mile after the 30-yard penalty, Favre goes against the grain, throws. It's caught up at the 40-yard line. Catch made by Schrader. And now they're saying no, he dropped it. Ruled a catch by one official, but then the second guy came in with a better view and said no. He dropped it.
You know, the interesting thing, Alan, watching that last play, Brett Favre ran out of the pocket. There was no reason to run out of the pocket. Just stay right in there and drop it off to Schrader. He's standing right in front of you. And to me, it just looks like everything's out of sync on this offense. Things are not happening, and he's, you know, and he's struggling. He's frustrated, and he's playing frustrated right now.
Looks like it. 2nd down and 36. Favre throws. Pulled in at the 50-yard line. That catch made by Corey Bradford, who has scored the only Green Bay touchdown tonight, stopped by Springs. And it will set up a 3rd down and 23.
3rd and 23.
Bradford's having a big night. You can see part of getting off the line of scrimmage is getting away from those defenders and getting separation. Corey Bradford, you have to be physical at the line of scrimmage, and that's exactly what he was with Sean Springs.
3rd down, 23 from the 50-yard line. 7:10 to go in the 3rd. Favre needs to get into the 27 for a 1st down, and that's incomplete. Intended for Corey Bradford, blanketed by Willie Williams. 4th and 23 from the 50.
I cannot tell you how impressed I am with the coverage down the field. It seems like everybody that is covering somebody man-to-man is right on top of them. They show good speed. They're hustling. They're getting pressure on the quarterback, but this is a play that Bradford would have liked to have had this. You got to wonder if he caught this or not.
No. Mike Holmgren, an offensive mastermind, said that he has spent a lot of time this week with his defense because he knows the Green Bay offense so well. And apart from the one blown coverage on the Bradford play, they have done a masterful job tonight. That Aguiar punt will roll dead at the 12-yard line with 6:51 left in the 3rd. Lambeau is quiet. They're not used to stuff like this. 21-7 Seattle. Team now leading 21-7. 7 seasons here. His regular season mark, but Lambeau, we talked about 42-5. 1-1 in the 2 Super Bowls. Beat New England in '96. Lost to Denver in '97. And right now his team up by 14. The crowd vocal as Seattle starts this drive with a Ricky Waters 1-yard pickup up to the 13-yard line. Waters up and over the 100-yard mark tonight. Of course, Lombardi Avenue named a long time ago, and there it is, the intersection of Lombardi Avenue and Holmgren Way here in Green Bay.
And he got a real nice ovation when he came out today. Yep. They know it. They know football here in Green Bay. Smart fans. He came here. He resurrected Titletown. That's what the Green Bay Packers are known as, or the Green Bay City is known as. And I think they truly believe that he had no choice but to leave.
Oh, and when you know Mike Holmgren, he is one of the most engaging men you would ever want to meet in sport. I mean, he's almost, you know what he is? He's almost honest to a fault. Kitna taken down at the 4-yard line. He is sacked there by Vonnie Holiday. Bernardo Harris paving the way as Kitna gets sacked back at the 4-yard line. So Seattle now trying to dig its way out of a hole, and of course with a punting situation, if they can't pick up very much yardage here into this ratcheting wind, Seattle might be in some difficulty in terms of Green Bay's field position.
Not only do you have to run the ball, you have to block, and Bernardo Harris just ran over Ricky Waters. I sensed that Emmett Thomas, the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, said, okay, guys, let's go. We got to take this game over. We need to stop right here.
3rd down 17 from the 5-yard line. Waters again on a sweep. And Ricky is out of bounds at the 8-yard line. Chased out by Holiday, so Green Bay should take over near midfield.
And that's Mike Holmgren just saying, you know what, guys, let's get off the field. It's not working good. The defense has got the momentum. Let's just play a little field position and put our Pro Bowl punter, Jeff Feagles, out there to give us a chance. But Emmett Thomas he's the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. His unit came up big on that series of downs.
Jeff Feagles to punt. Desmond Howard at the 50-yard line. Wobbly duck, but it gets a good roll. It's like hitting a drive on the ground and getting about 190 out of it, isn't it?
Seen that before. You would know that, Al.
Yes, I would. That's a 41-yard punt, or about the average distance of a punt.
So much for Pro Bowl punters.
Absolutely. 4:48 to the end of the third. Saturday college football on ABC. The Badgers of Wisconsin against the Boilermakers of Purdue, headlining regional action. Those other games coming your way at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, right here on ABC. Packed now at the 47-yard line. This drive starts with Dorsey Levens.
You could see
35-yard line.
Now you could see the Packers, their whole demeanor has just picked up. Something happened on the sideline in between that last series where the defense came out, stopped the offense of the Seattle Seahawks, and now all of a sudden you could see the giddy up in Dorsey Levens. And just watch this run. You could just sense the momentum now back on the side of the Green Bay Packers.
Levens averaging better than 4 yards a carry tonight. 19 totes for 78 yards. They give it to him again. And Levens is stopped at the 33-yard line after a gain of a couple. Again, they're working behind this makeshift offensive line now with Dotson thrown out of the game. Mike Wall, 68, who'd been alternating at left guard, will have to go at right tackle the rest of the way.
You're watching Brett Favre throwing the ball all over the field tonight. Mike Holmgren described coaching Brett Favre as, oh no, way to go, that's the way to go. That's basically what it is.
Since day one here, second down and 8 at the 33-yard line. Levens again, big hole, cuts it back, and Dorsey Levens takes it inside the 20, first down at the 18-yard line behind a Ross Verba block. 15-yard gain.
How we talked about when you play against Ricky Waters, you have to watch for the cutback. And Dorsey Levens is the same type of back where he's running play side to his right. Watch this. Watch his eyes. He sees everybody collapsing on the backside, and they just ride him down. And Bellamy misses another tackle. When you play against backs like this, stay at home when you're defense.
First and 10 at the 18. Levens with 95 yards tonight. They give it to him again. And Dorsey back to 94 yards, losing one to the 19-yard line. Tackled by Anthony Simmons. 2:50 remaining in the third. Seattle up by 14. Good performances tonight by each of the ace backs. Waters with 105 yards, his best performance of the season. And Levens averaging a sparkling 4.3.
Both similar. They can catch, they can run, they have great cutback instincts. Not an easy thing to teach. And they know when to use those cutback instincts.
Cecil Mitchell now in the game. The back up to Levens, second down and 11. Favre under pressure, escaping. He'll run with it and slides to a halt, sort of awkwardly at the 9-yard line. Lost his balance on this new grass here. Michael Sinclair stops him. Did he get the first down?
Close. I guess they did. He did get it. Hey, the interesting thing about...
I'm not sure about that right now.
No, third down. Okay.
It'll be third down. Nope.
The interesting thing watching Brett Favre, I guess that the adjective that best describes him, I think, right now is probably resiliency. I mean, he hangs in there, he battles, he's got a bad hand, he loses his right tackle, he's running all over the place, tripping, falling, and making plays.
Right, angry with himself, otherwise he would have had the first down.
Now the handoff goes to Mitchell, and Basil Mitchell picks up the 2 yards necessary to pick up the first down. A rookie out of TCU, seldom used because Levens is, as his nickname indicates, a horse.
Right, and when you look at Basil Mitchell and the way he just ran there, when you're a running back in this league and you need that 1 extra yard, you just put your head down and your shoulders down, and you are not denied. Ooh, look at that.
Since 92 in the red zone. Well, there you are, Boomer. We got you into a graphic here.
I don't think I was in the red zone quite as many times as those two guys.
7th play coming. All rushing plays on this drive to this point. Now far to the air, throws, and it is not caught. It is incomplete. Antonio Freeman, who's been pretty quiet tonight, covering him very well. The Seattle secondary covered that time by Kerry Joseph. Freeman tonight, 2 catches, 10 yards for the highest paid receiver in the NFL.
You know, and he was wide open actually. He runs across the middle. He avoids a linebacker looking to light him up. And Brett, look at the ball go with the wind down in these end zones, especially this part of the field that is really swirling down there. And you can see the wind just take the ball.
Levens back in the game, 2nd down and goal. They give it to Dorsey. And Dorsey gets rolled down. That's a nice tackle in the backfield by Riddick Parker, backup defensive lineman out of North Carolina. 3rd down and goal. Final minute of the 3rd quarter. Talk about the main 4, and then there are guys like Riddick Parker and Lamar King, their #1 draft choice, and backing up the people like Sinclair and Adams and Kennedy and Daniels.
And how good was the North Carolina defense in college? I mean, we're seeing defensive linemen and linebackers all over the NFL from that North Carolina team.
3rd down and goal. Favre, good protection. Now it finally breaks down, loses the football, picked up by Sinclair.
Just give it to...
And it's Henderson who takes Sinclair down at the 35-yard line. It's Cortez Kennedy who has missed a couple of tackles tonight that have been costly for Seattle. And all of a sudden, when they had to have the big play, he comes up with it.
Al, we talked about how opportunistic this defense is. They make plays, they force fumbles, they have interceptions. Boy, you talk about a big play at the right time. Cortez Kennedy makes it right here.
Green Bay's drive flames out. Five turnovers tonight at home for the Green Bay Packers.
4 attributed.
Seconds of the 3rd period here as John Kitna gives it to Ricky Waters, and that's a 2-yard loss. Tackle made by Leroy Butler as the 3rd quarter ends at Lambeau Field. The Seattle Seahawks lead the Green Bay Packers 21-7. And Monday Night Football from Green Bay returns after this from our ABC stations. 4th quarter beginning in Green Bay. Al Michaels, Boomer Esiason, and Leslie Visser. 2nd down and 12 for the Seahawks from their 33. They lead by 14, and that is hauled in by Mays, who makes the catch and is tackled at the 41-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 4. Here's Leslie.
Alan, Boomer, during that last time out, the offense came off the field very slowly and with disgust. No one spoke to Brett Favre during the timeout. He sat with his head down. He pulled a cap over his head. And Dorsey Levens was the last player off the field. Mike Holmgren had said to me before the game he would have gone to a 3rd Super Bowl had they had Dorsey Levens healthy all last year. Maybe that's the way to go, Al.
Yeah, Brett came off the field. We looked at him during commercial. He looked like he'd aged about 10 years. And 3rd and 4, that pass is incomplete.
You know, the thing that I like about John Kitna, the last 2 plays, he's changing them at the line of scrimmage. He's on the road. He's at Green Bay. He's on Monday night. He throws the ball away there in the face of a blitz, doesn't try to force anything, realizes that his team's up by two touchdowns. The other thing that Glenn Foley, their backup quarterback, told me was that he's so smart, he's so aware of what is happening around the game and during the game. So we saw a little bit of test of that to that last series.
Fiegel's kick, great angle kick, flag is down from the 13-yard line. Desmond goes out of bounds up at the 23. There's a marker down up at the 45-yard line.
Ineligible man downfield.
Interesting. Do you want to give Desmond Howard, who's been close tonight, another chance right here? Or do you decide just to take the ball on the 23-yard line and just get your offense out there? Well, the way this wind is swirling, actually it's holding on Green Bay, it looks like.
Yeah, Ron went to his hat as if it was an ineligible man downfield against Seattle.
Was it before the kick? That's the question.
Could be
51.
offsetting.
Yep.
The kicking team was illegally downfield. 27 of the receiving team was holding. Penalties offset. Repeat, fourth down.
There you have it. Anthony Simmons and Todd McBride.
I would say that would be holding. Wouldn't you? It's holding and tackling on Amon Green.
Now holding is enforced from the spot where possession changed. The ball will belong to Green Bay.
Okay, interesting.
Oh, that is an interesting call. So Green Bay will get it back at around the 13-yard line. To go in the fourth quarter. Seattle on top 21-7, and for Brett Favre, a three-time MVP, it's been a pretty forgettable 3 quarters thus far.
Well, he had one of his worst games ever 2 weeks ago at Denver, where he threw a few picks that game, and then tonight, last week he rebounded nicely against San Diego, but his defense gave him 6 picks in that game.
45.8 quarterback rating. If you're a rookie, you get you benched. Levens. Out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Well, occasionally you'll have it a day or a night like this, but for Brett, this would capsulize it early on. The Springs interception, this fumble, another Green Bay turnover. Then Willie Williams gets into the act, making his 5th interception of the year. And then with Green Bay driving, it's Cortez Kennedy extracting the football. And it's been that kind of evening for the offense as the flag comes in for what will be holding, offensive holding. Dorsey Levens takes it up to the 14-yard line.
And we talk so much about Mike Holmgren and what a great coach he is. And just think, if you're Ray Rhodes for a moment, you have to inherit this team and what Mike Holmgren has left behind. And there's a blessing when you inherit a quarterback like Brett Favre, who is great and is resilient.
Holding 62 offense, half the distance to the goal. Repeat, second down.
But there's also the tough stuff in terms of dealing with him when he's not playing well. And Mike McCarthy, their quarterback coach, is his first year here. Ray Rhodes has got to hold everybody accountable, including his all-time great QB and Brett Favre.
Here's McCarthy, second down and 12 now. The ball at the 6-yard line. Favre throwing it out here. That's incomplete, intended for Corey Bradford. But before Boomer started to talk about Mike Holmgren and being honest to a fault, even Mike admits when he goes back to last year, he played out the possibility of his leaving so publicly because he is honest. And let's face it, coaches can go one of 3 ways with what Mike did last year. Either they're very circumspect and evasive.
Right.
They can lie to you. That's another way to go. Just flat out lie, know they're going. Or like Mike, kind of not know what he wanted to do, but be... He's just so honest. He can't look at you and lie to you. Third down and 11 with the ball on the 6-yard line. And Favre's pass is intercepted again. Sean Springs. What a tremendous night for Springs with 2 interceptions and the blocked field goal run back for a touchdown. And Ron Wolf hasn't seen many nights like this, the Packer GM in Green Bay.
Well, I think you got to go back to the drawing board and you have to go revisit your fundamentals. Now, certainly Brett is playing with an injured hand. He's also trying to do, obviously, too much. And you have to revisit the fundamentals. Standing back in the pocket, reading. He's looking left, trying to come back right, trying to look guys off. Freeman falls down on him. But you have to be careful. You just can't be careless when you're throwing the football down the field, especially against this defense of the Seattle Seahawks.
6 Green Bay turnovers from the 16-yard line. Ricky Waters plows his way to the 14, and it's a sight that's very unfamiliar at Lambeau Field. People heading for the exits.
Now, he gets hit right as he throws the football, and he probably knows that this is not the greatest of throws. And just an unbelievable feeling of loneliness, and you know that everybody in the stadium is looking at you, wondering what you're thinking about, and he's had so many great days. Ray Rhodes and Sherm Lewis and Mike McCarthy are going to have to take him back to practice and say, look, this is what the deal is. You got to go back to fundamentals.
2nd down and 8. Waters to the 10-yard line. George Kuntz makes the stop. 12.5 to go in regulation. Sergio Garcia, Tiger Woods, and the world's best golfers in action. Season-ending honors at stake this time. The World Golf Championships, the American Express Championship coming up this Saturday at 1 Eastern Time. Tiger coming off another win.
Season-ending honors?
That's what
I think Tiger's going to get all the honors.
Yes.
7 wins?
I believe he's clinched them.
What a phenomenal year. Absolutely phenomenal.
3rd down and 4, ball at the 10. Kitna hanging in there, throws, caught by Mays. Wouldn't he have loved to have gotten it again? He still may get the chance. He picks up the 1st down.
But again, not forcing the football on behalf of Kitna and just going through his progressions, giving his receivers a chance to get open. Give credit to the offensive line of keeping the defensive line of the Packers out. You can see, look at him, look at his eyes. Watch him following, going through his progressions, and throws a nice catchable ball. He's accurate, and he's on target, and he's making Mike Holmgren look like a genius tonight. There's Larry Bechtel, the new offensive line coach of the Green Bay Packers, wondering what in the world is going on.
From the 3, this is Reggie Brown trying to escape. And gets tackled at the line of scrimmage by George Kuntz. 11 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. If the Hawks hold on and win the game, they will be in a first-place tie with Kansas City at 5-2 in the AFC West. And all alone at the top of the NFC Central will be the Detroit Lions.
Now, what can you say about the job Bobby Ross and the job Gunther Cunningham have done with their respective teams? Bobby Ross without Barry Sanders, and Gunther Cunningham taking over for Marty Schottenheimer.
The Detroit thing is unbelievable. 2nd down and goal.
But you know what it is, Al?
To the 1.
You know what it is? I think that it's the maturity of Charlie Batch coming in now. A defense that was just absolutely relentless last night in pursuit of Eric Sire and the Tampa Bay offense, which it's not too difficult to do considering that they don't score very many points. But you look at a team that looks organized, that looks focused, and I think it wants to make a statement because Barry Sanders is not there anymore.
There's no question they're fueled by it. 3rd down and goal at the 1-yard line. Under 10 minutes to play. And this is Ricky stopped. We just can't get a rushing touchdown, can we? No. June Waddy makes the tackle. And for Holmgren, as much as he would love to see the Hawks get into the end zone and get Waters his touchdown, he's also a very smart coach, and there is a huge difference between a 14-point lead and a 17-point lead at this point in the game.
Well, when Mike Holmgren came to Green Bay 7 years ago, he went 9-7, second in the NFC Central, 9-7 the second year. And then 94 all the way to 98, is a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
20-yard attempt. That's a nice hold that time. Jeff Fiegels had to reach for it and put it down. Peterson puts it through, and Holmgren tells Green Bay, you're going to have to score 3 times to beat me.
Seattle on NFL.com.
Al, how did he get your Halloween costume?
I think that's utterly ridiculous.
That's what you went out trick-or-treating on last night, wasn't it?
Yeah. We were in by 7. 9:11 to go in the 4th quarter.
You know, next week, Al, we get to see the Minnesota Vikings, who look like they've awakened a little bit. They've scratched and clawed their way back to 500. They're 4-4. Packers better be careful.
Dallas, Minnesota next Monday. Here's Peterson's kickoff. It's a short kick, but the wind knocks it down, and Damon Parker gets knocked down before he can get going by Robert Wilson.
Well, when it goes bad in all phases.
And right now, it's going very bad in Wisconsin.
The year's most honored film is now on DVD. It's one of the most...
Following the game, you can tune to ESPN SportsCenter Monday Night Football postgame show featuring live reports and analysis. The Green Bay Packers may need some analysis after this one, and they're at their 15-yard line. 1st and 10 as Brett Favre, down by 17, tries to mount a comeback, and that's knocked away. Intended for Antonio Freeman. Jay Bellamy knocks it down. 2nd down and 10. A reminder that you can tune into ESPN.com or NFL.com for enhanced TV coverage of tonight's game.
Interesting, Al, in that last attempt by Brett Favre, you saw number 96, Cortez Kennedy, also back there with Jay Bellamy, and you could see that the Seattle Seahawks are not going to sit back and rest. They're going to try to confuse Brett continually with the different type of blitzes that he'll be seeing.
2nd down and 10. Favre, and that one is intercepted by Merton Hanks at the 21-yard line, and he gets dragged down at the 16. 7 turnovers. Cortez Kennedy forcing the issue, got into the backfield, and the longtime 49er, a salary cap casualty more than anything else when he left San Francisco this summer, winds up with Holmgren in Seattle and picks one off here.
Interceptions happen for a reason. Brett knows that Cortez Kennedy is breathing down. Merton Hanks is in the right spot. Again, what can you say? He's having an off night. The whole offense looks, with the exception maybe of Dorsey Levens, looks out of sync and just not in rhythm whatsoever.
Merton Hanks, a spotlight performer on Monday Night Football. Merton has intercepted 9 passes in his pretty illustrious career. 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line. Favre has been picked off 4 times tonight.
You can see John Kitna audibling at the line of scrimmage again. How impressive is this kid?
He gets it off as the play clock ticks down and gives it to Ricky Waters. He's taken down by Darren Sharper at the 10-yard line. Ricky tonight with 24 carries and 116 yards. Leslie.
Al, as you know, this is not Mike Holmgren's first return to Green Bay. He was here last month for this funeral services of Fritz Schirmer. He said that being back here brings back fresh memories of Fritz, who he said he could always turn to as a confidant and a friend whenever he got stuck. Well, the Seattle Seahawks are wearing an FS on their helmets in honor of him. And Alan Boomer, I'm sure that Fritz would be so proud of his defense tonight.
He would be, and what a guy he was, and we really miss him. Fritz Schirmer, 2nd down and 6. He was just such a joy to be around.
And he's still listed in the Seattle Seahawk press guide as the defensive coordinator. So a fitting tribute to watch this defense really just come in here and maul the Packer offense and create turnover after turnover. And we talked about coming into this game, the stars that are on this team, most of them are on the defensive side of the football, and we've seen why tonight.
3rd down and 4, looking perhaps at Brett's thumb again, or
they'll take him out of the game. Matt Hasselbeck, their backup quarterback, is warming up. He'll come in, and rightfully so. You have to stop the bleeding sooner or later, and it's more of a mercy kill than anything else. Just get him out of the game.
3rd down and 4, and it's Waters who gets taken down in the backfield. That's June Waddy, the first guy to hit it. It'll be 4th down, and they'll bring in Peterson to try to tack on 3 more. Well, the Packers 2 weeks ago looked very ragged against Denver. Then they thought they'd righted the ship last week, going to San Diego and killing the Chargers. And now all of a sudden they have to wonder what in the world is going on as they brace for the Chicago Bears who come in here next Sunday.
And who are hurting from their whipping yesterday at the hands of the Washington Redskins. Al, this offense for the Packers really has has not been on all cylinders at all this season.
29-yard attempt for Peterson is good.
It's been kind of floundering, and interceptions, turnovers, no running game. And certainly, you look at the scoreboard, you can see what happens.
7 turnovers tonight for Green Bay.
Can't believe you tore a stunt like that. What were you?
It's a very uncommon sight here, a crowd leaving early, but it's been that sort of night. Tennessee against Miami, that's a good one on ESPN. On Sunday, each of those teams 6-1, and we go to the Metrodome in Minneapolis next Monday night. The Cowboys come in against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings getting things together, and the Cowboys trying to get things back together after yesterday's loss and losing 3 out of their last 4.
No, I think what we're seeing around the NFL, we're starting to see a lot of young players starting asserting themselves. And take a look at Brett Favre's rating for tonight, one that you want to forget. But you talk about Tennessee, Steve McNair is back. Eddie George looked good yesterday. Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, and Edgerrin James, the big 3 now in Indianapolis.
Favre's rating not even as warm as the temperature. And this is Basil Mitchell, who brings the ball back out to the 45-yard line for the Packers. 6:25 remaining in the 4th in Green Bay, where the Seahawks lead it by 20. Matt Hasselbeck comes in. He's the backup quarterback to Favre, and he won the job, and he facilitated the trade of Rick Meyer to the New York Jets because the Packers were confident enough in his ability to be Brett's backup. So he will take over here at the 44-yard line, 1st down for Green Bay. Hasselbeck's first pass is incomplete, intended for Freeman. Covered by Willie Williams.
Williams covering on the play. 2nd and 10 for remains on the 44.
This is actually Matt Hasselbeck running on the field, running over to Sean Springs, saying, "Hey, how you doing? How's it going? You having a great game, Sean?" Kind of strange right there. I wonder where they know each other. One went to Ohio State and one went to
Boston
College.
Maybe he was saying, "Hey, Sean, you've picked off enough passes tonight.
Enough already.
Give me a break." 2nd down and 10 at the 44-yard line. That is incomplete, intended for Henderson over the middle. It'll be 3rd down and 10. Sean Springs has had a Pro Bowl sort of evening, and that's nothing new because he went to the Pro Bowl last year. It started early on, great coverage here, intercepts a pass in the end zone, and then there was the blocked field goal attempt, and Springs picked it up and did his best Dion imitation, taking it into the end zone. And then Springs with a pick here, deep in Packer territory.
I think it's
that's one of the reasons that's the #1 draft choice from a couple of years back. And there's Brett Favre, and
he can't bear to look anymore.
A symbolic pose. 3rd down and 10 from the 44-yard line. Hasselbeck, whose father Don was a tight end for the Patriots years ago, intended for Davis, and that's incomplete.
I would think it'd be fair to say that Sean Springs is player of the week in the AFC defensively, don't you think?
I didn't see every game yesterday, but I would think that you probably just won the award for him.
2 picks and a touchdown return. That's pretty good. It's pretty good for a defensive player. And you talked about him being the #1 draft pick for the Seattle Seahawks in the '97 draft. He was the 3rd overall pick. The 6th overall pick was their right tackle, actually left tackle, Walter Jones. So nice draft for the Seattle Seahawks in 1997.
Here's Aguiar's punt. And it is dropped and then recovered by Seattle. It was Charlie Rogers who dropped it, and then Brian Walker alertly gets down there to save it for the Seahawks with 6:02 left in regulation. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by the 1999 Pontiac Bonneville. Luxury with attitude. Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. And Norelco, for an unexpectedly close shave, put it to the test.
Well, if there's anything that we've learned tonight is that Mike Holmgren has taken this team and he's given it purpose. He certainly has inspired it. I think he's making a statement tonight.
From the 12-yard line. Ricky Waters Well, there's a reason that Mike Holmgren has, at the moment, the best contract among all of the coaches in the NFL. He is a billionaire owner, of course, Paul Allen, the co-founder with Bill Gates of Microsoft. They went out and gave Mike everything he wanted. And they had the opening day disaster against Detroit at home. But since then, going to be 5-2 after tonight, and without Joey Galloway as well.
He's without Joey Galloway. He's also without his Pro Bowl center, Kevin Glover. But they have not had a lot of injuries, significant injuries, and they've been lucky. This is a team that obviously can play defense and also score some points, which are hard to find, that combination in the NFL these days.
This is Waters. And more good news for Seattle. They get to go home next week and play
the Cincinnati Bengals.
You're not still playing for them.
No, we have Dallas and Minnesota, okay? So that's where we're going.
Right.
But no, I'm not. Cincinnati, there's some serious problems there. There's serious problems in New Orleans right now. You know, it's something where these teams have a huge hole to dig themselves out of. I don't know if either one of them can get out of their way right now.
The rest of the league, in the meantime, is upside down right now, because after tonight's game, you're going to have Seattle and Kansas City tied for first in the AFC West. And then when you look at the NFC, with Waters carrying out to the 23, I mean, think about this. Washington's going to lead the East. They were 6-10 last year. Detroit is going to lead the Central. They were 5-11 last year. St. Louis leading the West. They were 4-12 last year.
Well, what the NFL likes to do, Al, and you know this as well as I do, is that the formula for the schedules the next year, after you have a bad year, you should have an easier schedule, and it gives you a better opportunity to get back into the playoffs. And now with the salary cap and injuries and parity all throughout the league, the teams that did not have the good seasons last year are certainly benefiting from their schedules.
And measure here. Desmond Howard pretty confident they're going to come up short. And what a seer and soothsayer he is. Howard was the Super Bowl MVP. You'll recall he ran a kickback for a touchdown in the Green Bay victory, but then off he went to Oakland. And then back he comes, a guy they thought was going to be a tremendous wide receiver at one point. That never panned out.
Some guys just don't get it. They don't have the instincts to play those positions. And one thing that's really remarkable about Desmond is just how good of a returner he is and how he understands to get his body in the right position and how to make guys miss. Why he cannot transfer that to wide receiver is beyond me.
Never has been able to. Jeff Fiegels to punt. Out of bounds all the way down to the 29-yard line with 3:40 remaining in the fourth quarter. This week, they'll tackle the big issues on Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher. That's this week. Is that Costas?
Yeah, he's on. Now, how come you're not on with him? I want to know that. The battle of the network play-by-play guys. That would be unbelievable.
He and I share the same political incorrectness. They didn't want duplicity.
Oh, really?
That's all I can think of.
Weren't you guys in Basketball, that movie together?
We certainly were. Bob started it, and I just had a cameo.
You did. I would love to see you guys on that show. I would pay $1 million. You would just to get $1 million from him.
Sold.
All right.
1st and 10 at the 29-yard line. Hasselbeck. Up at the 47-yard line by Corey Bradford for a first down. Of course, overshadowing everything in the National Football League today, as you look at the Packers will go to their hurry-up offense down by plenty here at the 48-yard line. Overshadowing everything, the death of Walter Payton at the age of 45, contracting the rare liver ailment. And that problem exacerbated by bile duct cancer in recent weeks. And at the age of 45, he's gone. As you look at the record, 16,726 career rushing yards. I guess if Barry Sanders comes back, he would have a good chance to eclipse that. Walter with career combined yardage and carries
10 seasons of 1,000+ rushing yards. 275 rushing yards in a game. NFL record is Dorsey Levens takes it across the 50 to the 48.
Levens, ball carrier.
Al, we think of Walter Payton as being a great football player and a hero to a lot of people who watched him and the way he played. But in death, he's also a hero because he brings to light the need for organ donation. There are 12,000 people on organ donation lists around this country. Walter was waiting for a liver and bravely got up in front of people and told them of his story, and it brought to light the need for organ donation.
Second down, 5 is Hasselbeck. Gets pressured and gets sacked back at the 45, and that's Cortez Kennedy enjoying a big night.
Well, you know, maybe he's the defensive player of the week, or maybe they're co-defensive players of the week. He seems like he's been all over the field tonight. Remember, this is a team that had 4 Pro Bowl players on the defense. And you could see by the way that they force turnovers, the way that they are offensive in nature when the ball gets near them.
3rd and 15.
But they make plays, and Michael Sinclair, Sam Adams, Cortez Kennedy, Sean Springs, Chad Brown, Willie Williams. I mean, this is some talented defense.
The 4 went to the Pro Bowl last year were Brown, Kennedy, Sinclair, and Springs, and they went while representing a team that was 8-8. No play there because we have reached the 2-minute warning at Lambeau.
Son, I want you to remember that loyalty is what really matters. Come on, Jets.
He's looking small and open.
Oh, yeah! Terry Bradshaw!
Let's play.
Howdy, partner. Let's go, Cowboys! Let's go!
He's the guy who came into the game with 2.5 sacks for the season.
Well, he's had a monster game tonight, just absolutely running over the offensive line of the Green Bay Packers.
Tez.
There he is. I can't believe that he's in his 10th year already. It's just amazing. I remember when he came out of college and he was just relentless early on in his career, and then all of a sudden just kind of like was there and was a good player, but again, a team of underachievers the last 4 years.
Well, they're a team that have not been on Monday Night Football since 1992. In fact, only 2 Seahawks have appeared on Monday night in Seahawk uniforms, and that would be Cortez Kennedy and the guy standing right next to him, as if on cue, Michael Sinclair. Thank you, guys. Craig Janoff somehow able to bring the boys together.
Well, Kenny Wolf and Craig Janoff bringing us the best pictures in all of sports television once again tonight.
Absolutely. 3rd down and 15 from the 43-yard line. Hasselbeck throws underneath. It is caught by Lamont Hall, a first-year running back out of Clemson. He is out of bounds at the Seattle 45-yard line.
Well, if you're the Packers, you trash this film. You don't even bother looking at it. You go back to practice, and I always stress going back and doing fundamentals. That's exactly what it's about. For a quarterback, it's making sure that you go through your progressions, sitting in the pocket, not trying to force things, throwing the ball away when you can. And no matter how good you are, no matter what your past history is, you still have to go back to the basic principles of the game and get back to where you came from. And certainly try to get back the touch that you've had, especially for Brett Favre after tonight's game and 2 weeks ago.
4th and 2 pass for Bradford is incomplete. Saw Ray Rhodes, and knowing Ray, there's a guy who not only won't sleep tonight, but maybe not tomorrow night either.
Ray Rhodes will certainly get in the faces of his team. The question I would have is whether or not he's going to get in the face of his quarterback. Because that's the difficult relationship, and you can see Brett right there. He's the guy that is covered up. And there's nothing more disheartening than coming out and playing a game the way you played. And you can't say enough about the bravery and the courage of playing with the bad hand and trying to do the things that you're capable of doing when you're healthy.
That was a visual metaphor if I've ever seen one. 1st down. Ricky Waters in Seattle will just run out the clock with 1.5 minutes to go.
And on the other side, we have a young budding star in John Kitna. who wasn't spectacular but did the right things. He did not turn the football over, did not force it. I don't even think there was even a chance for an interception tonight for the Green Bay Packers. That's how solid he was making his decisions and throwing the football. But when you have a defense like they have right now that's getting points on the board and making turnovers for you, that's basically what you have to do.
So there's 109 yards, but a 113.6 quarterback rating. And that is efficiency in all caps.
Well, the other aspect of this too is that Ricky Waters is over 100 yards, and he too no fumbles, no turnovers, and the recipe for winning in the NFL on the road is being careful with the football. Early on, it didn't seem that way, but as the game wore on, certainly the Seattle Seahawks were just that. You can see Derek Mays, number 87, right there. How excited is he coming back here after being traded probably about 8 weeks ago, and winning this football game.
And scoring a touchdown to boot, and that will do it as the Seattle Seahawks. If anybody was wondering if this team is for real, I think that was fairly well established tonight. As Mike Holmgren brings his team in to face his old team, they force 7 turnovers and win the game by a score of 27-7. And for Green Bay, something about under the lights. That's 4 consecutive Monday Night Football losses for the Green Bay Packers. All 3 last year, and this one here tonight.
Al, that's a sick feeling for Brett Favre right now, walking off this field, and it's utter disappointment, it's embarrassment. Knowing him, he'll have to pull all his resources back and be resilient once again to get back on top in this league.
So Holmgren wins again at Lambeau. What else is new? Doesn't matter what colors he wears. He's 43-5 here lifetime. Back with the play of the game in a moment. .com play of the game. The game was scoreless 10 minutes into the game. Ryan Longwell was attempting a 50-yard field goal. Seattle's #1 draft choice Sean King blocked it. Sean Springs picked it up, and he rambled 61 yards for a touchdown. And Seattle never looked back, and they win the game by a score of 27-7. Let's go to Leslie Visser.
Al, the man who helped put the title back in Titletown, a triumphant return. Mike, what kind of a night was this for you?
Well, I told you earlier, Leslie, it's a very emotional night for me, and to be able to come in here and take, we have a young team, and we play that way sometimes, but to come in and play the Packers, who are a great football team, this way, it's hard to put into words. I'm very happy for the guys in that locker room. They earned it, and they worked very hard for it.
How were you able to attack Brett besides having Sean Springs?
Well, we have some good players on defense, and we have to build it around our defense right now, and they came to play tonight, and Brett, I think we got some decent pressure on them, and our secondary, when they get chances, they intercept passes. I mean, they're good at it, and so we just try to give them different looks. You know, you do the best you can against a great player like that.
You're known for working with quarterbacks. What did you want from John Kitna tonight?
Well, I'd hoped to throw the ball just a little bit more, but when we got the lead, I was playing it pretty close, I guess. I've done that to him a couple times this season. I'm not sure it's fair to John, but it's won games for us so far. So, you know, he played pretty well. He controlled, in a big game like this, I thought he controlled his emotions very well and ran the team well.
Some people are saying the Seattle Seahawks season started tonight. Can you put this in perspective?
Well, I wouldn't say that. We looked, this was a big game for us. You know, all those guys had never even been to Lambeau Field. A lot of them hadn't played a Monday Night Football game. And it's a stepping stone. We're taking steps to get better, and I think we took another step tonight.
Well, congratulations. I think it's a tribute to you that a couple of your players are waiting to say hello, your old Packer players.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Leslie. Mike Holmgren trying to get the Seahawks into the playoffs for the first time since '88. Right now, tied for first in the AFC West with a mark of 5-2. Create 7 turnovers tonight and win the game 27-7. We take our act to Minneapolis next Monday, when the Minnesota Vikings will host the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Until then, Al Michaels for Boomer Esiason and Leslie Visser saying goodnight from Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Now stay tuned to ABC for your late local news or other programming. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence.
Sports thanks you for watching this presentation of the National Football League.